fucking
So you got the music
madman.
playing?
I am now.
My boy.
Fuck yeah. It is kind of making me nervous.
There you go.
Yeah, this is always my streams about to start image. For when we actually start, it's gonna be, well, in a minute I guess we start. I'm gonna be punctual. I'm German. I guess
You are
that is
German.
I guess that is a thing we do.
I'm an Australian Asian, so I'm Australasian. I like to call it.
It sounds pretty cool. Sounds like an ostrich.
Australasian. I like to think so. I don't know. Wait, what time is it?
Almost.
There you.
Wait, where did I put my... there it is. Okay.
You're good?
Yeah, just the order of things. Okay, I guess we're about to start. It is 5 for me.
Let's do it. Oh. I am going to make myself sound smarter by smoking a cigarette.
Yes. Okay, I guess let's just start this thing. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to episode 1 of Bamboo Hut, a new podcast about anything pop culture, basically.
Yeah.
My name is Pandsu, and I'm here with your boy Thundernut.
It's your boy Thundernut.
And we're about to have some rambly fun, I guess.
I mean, we're mostly here to just discuss, something nice for you to have on in the background,
Exactly. And whoever might be watching, you're free to partake in the discussion. There's a chat. We're going to read the chat.
Of course.
And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all we need for an intro, right?
Yeah. So I guess we should just get onto the highlights, or the headlines. That's it.
The headlines. Exactly.
Oof. Okay. So where are we up to?
The
all right,
Overwatch PTR.
Yeah, okay. So we have 3 different major changes, at least. So we have the Genji hitbox deflect scaling down.
Yep.
And then the tracer bomb got nerfed. How much damage?
300 instead of 400 max damage.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I thought it was. Well, Pulse Bomb does 400. Did 400 damage? I've actually never counted how much damage Pulse Bomb did.
Yeah.
I feel actually stupid. Oh, hey Greasy, what's going on, bud?
Welcome.
Well, now I know. Well, it actually makes sense because take a sippy when Roadhog was on half, and I'd still live. I guess.
And basically, their reasoning with that is they don't want Tracer to just easily shred tanks because tanks are way too easy to stick.
That's true.
And they still wanted to be able to instantly kill small enemies if you manage to stick them. But
most
I wonder,
DPS, I'd say at least.
Yeah.
All DPS really.
And support.
Yeah.
But I wonder if this is going to be bad for the Graviton Pulse Bomb combo.
It'd be interesting because I feel like you'd still get all of the squishy targets. I guess it would just make tanks more survivable. Although after Pulse Bomb, I feel like cleanup is just the inevitable.
Pretty much. If your
I feel like that extra 100 damage isn't really going to make that much of a difference if you're doing a Grav combo.
Yeah, I a friend of mine said this kills the Tracer. I don't think so. I think we're probably fine.
Yeah.
Tracer mains, am I right?
Yeah. I don't. Then we got the Genji fucking deflect hitbox. What is the deal with that? Is that actually gonna go live? Surely not. That's gonna nerf Genji pretty hard.
Yeah, but then again, some other stuff has gone live that shouldn't have. I mean, there was a time when Maze Freeze was bugged and nobody would get slowed anymore, and that went live.
Oh yeah,
even mid-competitive season. So
that's true.
Who knows?
Who knows? It would be interesting that good widows can just pop that Genji.
Yeah, though it's definitely not intentional. They did say he should be completely safe from the front. He should deflect anything that hits him in the front. That is not the case. You can still headshot a Genji while he's deflecting,
which is incredible. Which we should abuse while we can.
It would be interesting to see, like, at least like a few weeks with that bug.
Maybe
on
make it so it's like the tip of his head you can pop.
Yeah.
Like it's like a really like 0.
I mean, maybe that is what it
chance
is.
of the bullet actually hitting it. Or
no,
like a 1%.
No, I wouldn't do. Like, I don't think they want to do that because I think they want it to be as consistent as possible. And if it's like a rare chance of that happening, that feels too random and frustrating.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
So I think they would either say, yeah, this is intentional. Like, if it's a critical, then it should.
All right.
But maybe something that would be interesting, like, maybe if they keep it in, turn off critical while he deflects. So he can still be damaged when you do hit the head, but it's not actually counting as a headshot. So it's basically like a mix between the two.
I'd say so, like a body shot worth of damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I can get behind that. So a Widow at full charge can't kill him.
Yeah, but still damage him, and like others can just finish him off, or the Widow with the next shot.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
That would be an interesting compromise. I'm definitely looking forward to just if it goes to live, seeing how it affects.
Yeah, because you never know. Because I mean, in higher elos, yeah, hitting Genji heads is pretty easy, but on the lower elos, not a lot of people can hit those headshots, so it wouldn't exactly become that much of a problem.
Though there's also going to be a change to the audio visuals.
Oh yeah.
So it's apparently going to be easier to notice that he is deflecting. Apparently,
is he going to be saying, "Haha, deflect"?
Maybe.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
Or maybe he's going to sort of glow, sort of like the new Hanzo bow.
Oh yeah. So maybe he glows bright green or something when he does it.
Yeah.
Don't shoot the glowing green thing. I know green means go, but bad touch.
I would actually like that a lot. Because that would make it just so much easier just to have a switch just in your brain. Like, you see that color, don't shoot.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it just takes a second.
You can't tell sometimes if you're high nooning from a really far distance.
Yeah.
And
or you can't tell when he's done with it. Like, you're like, oh, yeah. I thought he was done. If he's glowing, then you can totally tell. Like, he's not glowing anymore, so I can click.
Yeah.
Especially with other stuff happening on your screen. If it's just the Genji deflecting, you should be able to tell. But if there's other people just jumping around and stuff, and you're just not just looking at one target, it's sometimes really hard to tell the timing. So I do like that change. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not sure if it's in.
I feel like that would lower the skill cap of a Genji. Wait, not really lower the skill cap, but just make his deflect a little bit more useless, unless it's more preemptive, sort of.
Yeah, I guess, but then again, I mean, Genji is overused anyway.
He is. I feel like that would be a nice compromising nerf.
Yeah.
In a way, it's not like
so. I think it's
major
fine.
Nerf. Yeah, it won't. Yeah. It won't really affect his gameplay, but it'll just give other players more awareness of him.
And it's basically how it was meant to be anyway, because they wanted you to know when he's deflecting because he has a audio-visual effect for it. He does have a voice line, he does say, "Oh, come on," or something like that.
Come out.
Yeah, and you were never supposed to be able to deflect something that wasn't even hitting you anyway. That was never the intention. It just ended up that way. So I see it more as a fix to get him to where he was supposed to be than an actual nerf.
Because I feel like, because it felt like you were shooting this small little portal hole that would suck up your damage and then just shoot it back. Now I feel like it's more like if you tactically aim away from him a bit better, or like at least shotgun characters won't get a full brunt of it if you like only graze them.
Exactly. And sometimes like you're not even trying to shoot a deflecting Genji, you're trying to shoot somebody behind him, and you shoot like you're trying to shoot past him, but that's still getting deflected, and that's super fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm happy with this change.
Because that blade isn't even that long. That blade's like fucking 30 centimeters, if that.
Yeah.
Alright, hitbox alright. Going out like a meter across his arms. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm okay with this.
Okay, so the next
we have
up...
the Hanzo.
Oh, we have the Hanzo one. Oh dear.
There's actually quite a few.
There are quite a few changes. I mean, the Hanzo one...
Hanzo's great.
I like him now. I don't think he's overpowered anymore in terms of like his ability to just one-shot a tank.
Me neither.
Yeah.
He's still really good. He's more consistent, which makes him less of a troll pick. But he's... anything that can happen to you now, for the most part, is either really skilled or something that you're prepared for. Because the new ability, for those who don't know, the scatter arrow is gone, and instead there's now the storm arrows, which is basically like a channeling ability that gives you 5 or 6 arrows.
I think it's 6 arrows.
Might be. That you can shoot rapidly. But when you activate that ability, there's a loud noise and your bow glows. And that noise you can actually hear pretty far away. So you know, oh, that Hanzo has that ability activated right now. Get in cover. So I'm totally fine with it. And he also has a leap ability now, which is basically like a horizontal double jump.
Yeah, because before with scatter, you could just switch it on silently. You didn't know the next arrow he was firing was a scatter shot.
And you could even turn it off again. Like, if you made a wrong decision, let's scatter this, you could just turn it off again if you're wrong. And now that's not a possibility anymore.
Yeah, they've made it that you have to preemptively think about your E and like when you want to use that.
Yeah, and your enemy can still, or your opponents can
have time
still
to react.
Yeah, they can still counter.
They're like, okay, here comes a barrage of damage. Let's shield up.
And this sonic arrow is actually less effective now too. The radius of it is slightly less.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I
don't know by how much. Yeah, they did though.
They're kind of turning him into a DPS, which I kind of don't mind.
I mean, he is a DPS.
I guess.
He's always been a DPS.
Yeah, but I thought it wasn't his intention more of a defensive sort of zoning. I
mean, in my book,
that's his whole kit, isn't it?
Yeah, but from many people's point of view, there's DPS, tank, and support. There's no defense and offense because I mean, Widowmaker, for instance, is a defensive hero, but she's usually better on offense for engaging. So I think they should just do away with the defense and offense anyway, because it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. But
so I guess
they still having them in that class does define them, because Torbjorn Torbjorn in particular isn't exactly the best on attack, but he can do it.
That is true,
but I can see why I still class of defense, because
I still would do DPS, just DPS.
Yeah,
or no categories anyway, because you're supposed to learn what they do anyway.
I
think I would do away with the categories completely, because like the tips on the side, like where it says, "Oh, you don't have enough of this, you don't have enough of that." Usually, that's not helpful. It gets the basics down, but I don't know, relying too much on that is kind of, in my opinion, actually against what they like to call the spirit of the game. And isn't the spirit of the game to look at the situation and pick accordingly? They don't even want to force a meta anyway. They never said they wanted to force a 2-2-2 meta, so why have the game tell me there's not enough tanks or something like that? if they don't want to force it. So I would honestly just do away with the categories completely and just have a hero roster and let the players figure out who has what role. It's kind of too late by now because people have kind of gotten used to it. But then again, I mean, Symmetra is probably apparently going to be reclassified as a defense hero soon when she has her rework. So they might as well just do away with it completely.
But I guess at the start they were, worried that people weren't going to get it, or maybe there was the possibility of people being overwhelmed. Yes. So I guess just having that system in there just helped people get used to the idea of working as a team. Because let's face it, if the game came out where there was no classification, then people would just automatically just always go for whatever hero they wanted. They didn't think about teamwork. I guess the classes helped introduce the concept
just
of
like
teamwork
it happened.
Yes.
Where's the difference?
I don't know, man.
No, I know what you mean. You do have a point there. Like when you're just starting out, it could be a little bit overwhelming. But then again, maybe how I would do it then.
Not everyone listens. Not everyone listens to the class things. That's why people just ignore it and still do whatever they want.
Yeah, but I think maybe what would have been smarter is if they did the same stuff that MOBAs do, where instead of having categories and then the heroes in those categories, rather have when you click a hero, they show you their role, and then have specific roles. So you can have a main tank as a role, or an off tank as a role. You can have enabler as a role. You can have assassin as a role, and those kinds of things, and have multiple roles per hero. That's kind of how Dota does it, for instance. One hero can have multiple roles.
True, but maybe that's what Blizzard don't want. Maybe they don't want a MOBA shooter.
Well, maybe it wouldn't turn it into a MOBA. It would just classify the heroes. Just tell you. It would be more open to would show you more at one glance what your hero actually does. Because with Symmetra, for instance, if you're new at the game and people say, "Oh, get a support," and then you get Symmetra, everybody's super mad at you because is Symmetra even really a support? Not really. She's more of a defense utility hero.
She is. She's a builder.
Yeah. And has the utility of getting you places with the teleporter and stuff. But she's not a support. She doesn't heal. If she's a support, then Torbjorn is a support because he has armor. So if they didn't have those rigid classifications, they could have had Symmetra as different classifications that is utility or even off support, whatever. Maybe have that as a tertiary category, something like that. That's maybe what I would do. I just think it's flawed.
Indeed.
Yeah. But I guess I would still mention the Lucio changes.
Oh, definitely. Oh, and that is actually a good point. Lucio got a change too with the wall ride. Now, I haven't played too much of it, but because we're both Lucio mains, but what happened so far?
So basically what they changed is that now you can just hold your jump button and you won't usually detach from a wall. So you can just ride around the outside of a corner and then just keep on riding. And if you jump off of that wall and then land on the same wall again, as long as you traveled far enough, you will still be able to attach to it, even if it goes in the same direction, which was usually not the case. And there was a big problem with that, where having Lucio rollouts, where you just kind of slightly tap a wall and then get blasted forward. Yeah. That wouldn't work anymore, and they fixed that now you have to have held your jump button for a certain amount of time before you go around a corner. So if you really just want to tap a wall quickly,
that boost.
You still get that boost.
Yeah.
You're still a slight bit slower. They nerfed it a little bit. But it's kind of now, it still makes it easier for newcomers to play Lucio, but it doesn't completely break him for those who can play him. Before they fixed it, it completely broke him for people who kind of knew what they were doing. And now he's just slightly broken for those.
Well,
and the boop doesn't.
Now
use
it does,
ammo.
like you said before, and what Greasy's saying, it does make Lucio look more fluid. It adds another layer of wall riding while shooting, plus still moving around at nice, fast speeds. And I feel like it's going to be nice to be able to combine those two.
And it makes it easier to learn.
Yeah, because before, all I used to do was just jump around as Lucio and try and get nice angles to just leap forward and then try and dink someone in the head 3 times.
Yeah, and that's still a smart thing to do. Like, if you're actually good at it, that still makes you faster because of the little extra boost you get from jumping off of a wall. But it's just easier to be adequate at him when you're not as good the way it is now. So I'm fine with it.
Yeah, because you're going to see a lot more wall riding Lucios, which is fine. That's what he's supposed to do. But it also doesn't like nerf like the high end players who know what they're doing with Lucio. Like he can still do crazy stuff as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah, there's still a certain ceiling.
It just helps players like learn how to properly play Lucio as a wall rider.
Exactly. It definitely makes it easier for newcomers and like people in lower ranks to at least figure out what you're supposed to do.
Because I've seen, because when I was playing with Kuma, back when I was trying to help him get out of bronze, I found a lot of Lucios that I played with would just kind of stick on heal and just kind of exist around the point.
Yep.
And like I get it that maybe they're new to Lucio, maybe they're new, but the guy was like 2 stars or something like that. So like he's had time. So like I feel like that is a good way to introduce wall riding to lower elos.
Definitely, and it's just easier for them to have fun with it too, and like to get some nice plays with it, and that just makes you improve over time. So I think overall it's a good move. For me personally, because I'm fairly good at Lucio, it feels like a little bit of a...
Dude, didn't you hit Grandmaster with Lucio?
Yes, and I was top 3 Lucio once.
So there you go. Fucking top 3?
Yeah.
Jeez, mate.
Top 3 among Lucios.
Oh, that's still... Poof. Nice work, mate.
Yeah, it's been a long time
ago. We're in the presence of a pro.
Not quite, but
I would
pretty
say
decent.
so. I would say anyone who's passed Master is definitely a pro. At least once.
I was decent.
I would say so.
Anyway, let's move on to Valve, to the Valve lawsuit. So
yeah, he is a god, yeah.
So apparently, Valve has been sued by, I guess, not the Australian government, but like official places for not abiding by Australian law when it comes to return policies on Steam. And they have lost the lawsuit, but they have appealed. And their defense was that we're not really doing business in Australia because we're just an online store. And that, in my opinion, is bullshit defense. It makes no sense, in my opinion, because they are already abiding by Australian laws because they have censored versions of games that in their uncensored version are banned in Australia. So they are knowingly and willingly selling things in a way that is that they have to in Australia. The same in Germany for me. So it's not like it's surprising to them that they have to abide by those laws. They also change their pricing depending on region where they sell. So they have all these things in place. So it really makes no sense for them to be surprised when they then have to abide by Australian laws when it comes to return policies.
Yeah.
So I really, usually I would be on the defending side, like, oh, the evil government and stuff. But come on, Valve. Like, come up with a more creative defense, please. Because they also sell you, like, cards and stuff in stores. So it's not like they're not doing business in Australia. So,
They are, man. They exist. I go to Woolworths or Coles or whatever, and, like, on the racks, they have, Steam gift cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Everywhere. Like, I think even, like, newsstands have Steam gift cards. And those are everywhere.
Yeah, so how can they say we're not doing business in Australia? We're just an online store that anybody can access. That's bullshit.
It is bullshit. But I guess Australian return policies are a bit too kind.
I guess so. Even though, like, what are your return policies?
Well, when it comes to new games, at least at our local EB Games, it's for a brand new game, you can have it for a week and return it if you don't like it. And with pre-owned games, you can have it for 2 weeks. And
I guess that's the difference.
And if you don't like it, you just go back and say, hey, I didn't like it. And they'll say, no worries, here's your money back.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense, because on Steam, you have to, like, you can at most play it for like 3 hours, I think.
It's 2 hours. I've tried.
Or 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And only then you can return.
But then not even then. Sometimes they don't go through, or like they just ignore it because, like, you maybe, like, I remember I bought I believe it was Death Wing or something. It was a Warhammer game. Let me look it up right now. It was Warhammer something. For the life of me, I cannot remember. That's how boring it was. Well, basically, it was like Left 4 Dead, but if it was like, big space marines in armor. And it was really boring and really buggy, and me and all my friends were super hyped about it, and we got it, and then...
Wait.
It just never kicked off.
If you're talking about the game, I mean...
What, Vermintide?
No.
No. But this game fucking... It blew, and then, like, after we played for, like, maybe half an hour, we asked for our money back. And,
do you actually mean Warhammer Space Marine?
No.
Okay, because that game, I played a demo of that, and that was actually fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about this shooter. It was like $40 on Steam.
Yeah, this one is a shooter too, I think.
It was first person?
No, I think third person.
Okay, so this was first person.
Looks sort of like Gears of War.
Oh, I know that one. I bought that once, and I enjoyed it.
That one was decent. Like, I played the demo, that was decent.
It was okay. I don't...
Okay, so you're not talking about that one.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, it's literally called Space Hulk Deathwing. I've played it for like half an hour, and it was just the buggiest piece of crap out there. Not even on a monster machine you could run this thing. It's fine now, but it's just terrible. And the point I'm trying to make here is that, yeah, every time I've tried to go for a return on Steam under the 2 hour limit, gave them a decent reason why, the game was buggy or whatever, I've never gotten my money back. Not once.
That sucks. I haven't had that problem. Like, I don't return that much, but whenever I try it goes through like within a day.
Yeah, not here.
Sorry.
So at least maybe only my luck.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway,
so I guess the lawsuit does make sense, because like if that's how it works over there, then yeah, Steam is not adequate.
No, clearly not.
Okay, so next we have Black
Ops 4, Call of Duty. They're still making these games.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the thing around this? They, instead of the single player campaign, they want to make a battle royale mode.
That's the rumor, yes.
That's the rumor. I really think they got to stop with this battle royale shtick. It's getting old really fast, really quick.
Agreed.
I'm so like Fortnite. I'm fine with it existing. It's a really good game in terms of like accessibility, getting people into gaming, and just I don't know. It's the next generation of like it's the next kids generation game. You know that everyone plays, whatever.
Yeah,
Never
it's
got
decent
into it.
for a battle royale game.
Yeah, but just
Not everything needs it.
yeah, not everything needs it. Like Paladins did it. I don't even know how you can even do that.
Yeah, I haven't even tried that.
I don't even want to know what it looks
But
like.
the thing is, this rumor is actually pretty plausible because some big cheese from Activision has actually been quoted as saying, "Oh yeah, we looked into Battle Royale and we're probably going to include that in one of our games." So, I mean, that's probably going to be Call of Duty.
It's probably what Greasy said. They're just copying trends to stay afloat. And
Yeah.
they're
makes
making
sense.
they're making the wrong decisions. Just keep to what you know. Just make a really good gun game and people will buy it because it's COD. Just
Yeah,
make it good.
and personally, I'm actually gonna miss the single player because Call of Duty used to be something that I would buy for the single player primarily.
It's what a lot of people
until-
bought Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 1 for as well. It was
Yeah,
mad.
Modern Warfare 1 I bought primarily for the single player. Then Modern Warfare 2 was like a 50-50 thing. And even after that, even though I started getting a little bit bored at Black Ops 1, like I started to get a little bit fatigued with the tropes of it, I still, like World War 2, the campaign there I thought was pretty decent. And I would still like to play Call of Duty campaigns in the future. And also Call of Duty is very influential. So if Call of Duty 4 sells amazingly still, without a single player in it, I kind of fear for what the industry is going to take away from that. If that might kill the single player campaign. Because Titanfall 2 is freaking... I know I've been raving on about
this.
this.
Yeah, I know. Titanfall 2's, from what I saw on your stream, it was a pretty mad campaign.
It's so good. So much better than the multiplayer. And the multiplayer was decent. But dude, please don't take away my single player campaigns, game industry.
Oof. Do you remember when video games used to try and beat each other in terms of like the next step? I feel like we've kind of stagnated.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another time. Jeez, that's a heavy one.
Definitely. That's a full topic. It's not a headline.
What next? We have Starfield E3. So I only just recently found out about this game from you now, actually. I had no idea Bethesda. So Bethesda are apparently working on this game called Starfield, and you know more about it than I do. You should probably tell them.
Yeah, so it's basically just a rumor, but it's the whole name that people actually know the name is based on a trademark or copyright, one of the two, that was filed in like 2015 or something. So it's been a while, but they filed it, and last year for E3 there were like clues and hints in some of their promotional material that kind of hinted at Starfield being there last year. And this year there's some insiders, and like even last year there was an insider who said it would be there and was right about other things they said, but then it wasn't there, which made some people think that they wanted it to be at E3 last year, but then they just at the last second decided against it. And now there's other insiders who are saying this year at E3, Starfield is going to be the big thing, the big main thing that they're going to reveal, that they're going to focus their whole press conference on. Because, I mean, what else really is there at the moment? Like, how many other things can they really fill a whole press conference with? Because Bethesda is going to have their own press conference again. And the rumor is that Starfield is going to be revealed and released in the same year. So just like Fallout 4 was revealed at their first E3 press conference that they ever did, the first one.
I remember that. I
And,
got really
and
hyped
released
for
in the
that.
same year. They might do the same for Starfield, which
Oh,
apparently is going to be like a full-on space RPG.
Okay, all right. You know what, Bethesda? If you knock this one out of the park, go for it. Just do not use the bloody Fallout 4 engine. I swear.
That's very likely that they will, though, because Todd
I'm going
Howard
to
has
murder
has
Bethesda.
been
Not murder, but
quoted.
just I'm going to just probably never buy one of their games again. Just out of sheer spite.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been into those games anyway, so I don't care that much. I'm still eager to find out more about it, but Todd Howard has been quoted as saying that they're working on like 2 big titles, and one of them is like nearing completion anyway. So that kind of like works out.
It's
that might be
Skyrim for the Game Boy Advance, right?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, Skyrim is on anything anyway.
Oh, Skyrim's on everything.
But yeah, he did say that the next thing is still going to use the same engine, and the one afterwards is like using a new animation engine. So the other stuff, except for the animation, might even still be based on that engine.
Are you kidding me? So, like, what? Not even like the quest system?
That's
Inventory?
kind of what I
Is that
heard.
all gonna just still be from like 2008?
Might be.
Please, Bethesda, you have money.
Do they?
You have money. You made
yes, they do.
Doom. How can you make Doom? That was such an amazing shooter, just for like
Dude.
couch gaming.
Doom was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and how do you go from that to just releasing a buggy Fallout 4 VR? I don't care. Bethesda, it just works apparently.
Yeah.
The famous quote.
But I'm still looking forward to see just like what they're trying to do, because like because I mean Fallout 4 is already sci-fi.
Yeah.
Or the Fallout franchise is already sci-fi. So them just having a sci-fi RPG wouldn't be anything new. So they kind of have to have some, because they also said that their next project is their most ambitious ever. I mean, of course, that's kind of PR talk. That's what they always say.
They have to say that. Otherwise, it's like, oh, well, we don't care then.
Yeah, I guess. But who knows? Like maybe they're really trying to do something that is beyond what they've done so far, where maybe there's going to be multiple planets and really explorable.
A food chain system and
yeah. I know what you're
and
about.
you're gonna be able to explore the universe, and eventually you can get to the center of the universe, and then guess what? It pops you back at the very beginning of the game.
But to be honest, I kind of think that Bethesda has a higher chance of doing that right than the No Man's Sky developer.
Any
Bethesda
developer had a better chance of doing that better.
Yeah, but I mean, Bethesda at least has some experience under their belt.
Yeah, they do. They do. I just wish their writing team would up the ante again. Because if you look at the writing from Fallout 4 compared to like New Vegas or something like that, it's night and day. Fallout 4, you had 2 options: yes or no, sarcastic yes or normal yes, or sarcastic no and no.
Yeah.
There was no variety. None of your choices impacted like how people saw you. You were always just the Vault Dweller guy looking for your son.
But what if, just hypothetically, what if Starfield is an MMO?
Then we're doing.
What if they're? I mean, I don't know because
an MMO in this day and age with loot boxes fucking galore.
But loot boxes are kind of like out now. I think loot boxes might be dead.
Still, microtransactions. It's an MMO. They're gonna charge microtransactions. There's no way about it. Cosmetics, whatever.
But does Bethesda do that? Not really.
Yes. They charge for user-made add-ons on their damn store.
That is true. Yeah, paid mods. That is true.
Are you kidding me with that shit?
But they don't, like, other than
paid
that.
Paid mods. Who the hell
paid
else
mods
does
are bullshit.
Mods?
Paid mods are bullshit.
That is a next level. That is them taking someone else's work and charging them money for it. that you could just do it on PC for free.
That is true, but that's also a topic for another day, I guess.
Yeah.
I
don't want to get full out.
Yeah, and it's actually on
it's
actually on the list of topics.
Oh dear. All right. So next up we have.
Yeah, let's just wrap it up there. So we're done with the headlines. Yay, we made it through.
Hey, so next we have. Let's see.
Only took us 50 minutes. Oh my god, this is gonna be long.
Oh dear.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
What have I gotten us into? Okay, so now we have the first main topic, which is our firsts and favorites, which is basically a topic we wanted to cover first, just kind of to establish our voices, to kind of give you guys an idea of like who we are, how we got to like our current like our taste in video games and non-video games.
So you basically gonna learn about what we really like.
Yeah, and where we had our origins and stuff, which is actually where we're going to start. So we have a list of a few games and non-games, and we're just going to go through them in order. So I'm going to start with my first vivid video game memory, which is Super Mario Bros. 2. Now, I know that it's not by far my first game that I ever played, but it's the first game that I have vivid memories of, where I can actually remember exactly what it was like to play that for the first time. And that game, I think, has taught me a lot just about how wondrous a video game world can be. Because if I think about like Super Mario Bros. 1, it's a good game, it's really fun, but you have figured that out very, very quickly. There's not too many things in Super Mario Bros. 1, and level design wise, it's fairly. I guess
they were kind of testing the waters with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them, but it's like even as a young gamer, you figure that out very quickly. But Super Mario Bros. 2 was freaking weird, if you think about it. Like, first of all, I didn't know what was going on because I couldn't read then yet. And so I couldn't like read the manual, and also the intro was in English. So even my sister, my almost 4 years older sister, couldn't tell me what was going on, and she wouldn't read manuals. And it was so weird to like fall out of the sky, out of a door in the sky in the very first screen of the game. And he would just fall, and then if you jump on an enemy, they wouldn't die, and you could just pick them up and throw them. That was weird. And the whole game was just constantly introducing new things and themes. And like, if you pulled something out of the ground, you never knew if it was just a freaking vegetable, or if it was a bomb that's already lit, or if it was a turtle shell that would just go. And then like things like the Phanto, the masks that would follow you around when you pick up a key, and things like that. It was just so much to figure out, and I think that's why it's such a vivid memory, because it just introduced new things that I just didn't quite understand. How could the princess fly, for instance? I never understood that. Like, how could she glide with her freaking skirt?
I don't think a lot of people knew why she could glide. I think that was just.
I don't think anybody did.
She was light, I guess. Her dress was big.
I guess, like, there was wind catching under her dress.
She really knew how to fart.
Maybe that.
Enough for thrust to be achieved.
Thrust.
Jeez.
But like, if you're a small kid, you're like wondering about these things. And then I remember the first time we got to Birdo, so the first boss of the first level, and we were just standing on Birdo's head, and we could not figure out what to do, because you can't pick up Birdo, because you're supposed to land on the projectiles, the eggs, that are shot out, and throw them at her. That was so weird to me. And like, I guess that's why it's like one of my first memories, because there was just so much my brain had to do, and that's why it was kind of that. Because all the other games that I know I played before kind of feel like they were always there. it's kind of like your first word. You don't remember your first word. It kind of feels like you always talk.
You remember your first swear word.
Do you? I don't.
I do. It was fuck.
I don't remember my first.
I was 6 years old. Didn't know what it meant.
Mine was probably shit.
Dude, it's a Christian server.
Anyway, let's go to your early game pick.
Okay. So my early game pick was actually my I think I was ironically, my 6th birthday, I think. And I remember I went downstairs. Mom was like, because I slept in because I really wanted to sleep in because I was really tired after camp or something from that week. And I went downstairs and my mom had a sandwich ready for me, and I woke up and I go, "Oh, thanks, Mom. Thanks for the sandwich." And I bite into it, and there's nothing there. There's just bread. And then I notice there's something hard. And then I open my sandwich up, and there's Pokemon Red sitting on my bread. And first of all, I didn't even know what it was. I mean, I'd watched the show, but like it was backwards. It was red. I had no idea what it was. But I flip it over and it's Pokemon Red, and I freak out. Like, Mom, my sandwich has Pokemon in it. And she's like, "Oh, wow, what happened?" It's like, "Oh, I have no idea." And she makes up something about like the sandwich fairy or something like that. And I didn't care, and I just, because all I had at the time was like Tetris on my Game Boy. Yeah. And I really loved the show. It was the best. Yeah, Pokemon Red between bread. It was the greatest sandwich I've ever eaten.
Pokemon bread.
Because then I got so excited, I just pulled the game, put it in my Game Boy, and like ate the bread and just ran upstairs. And my mom's like, "I actually have an actual sandwich here for you," and I just ran up. Don't care. And then
yeah, who cares what sandwiches?
Who cares? Pokemon. I had Pokemon. Oh, I was so into it. Oh, it was the first game that made me feel like I had choice in how I went about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because I never liked in games, because recent games up until then, you were stuck as one character, and I didn't like that because I wanted to be me, and I wanted to see what I could do in a game. And having that ability to have a choice between 151 creatures blew my mind. It's like, I can have 151 pets in this small little thing that I can battle my friends with and trade. And that just fucking blew my mind as a kid, just experiencing what gaming can do. And that was probably the greatest sandwich ever.
And to think
By
that
far.
You almost ate it.
I almost ate it. I bit down pretty hard. First bite, I didn't care. I was like, "Oh, this is probably like really hard meat." And then I bit down again. She's like, "No, just open." Well, no, she didn't tell me, but it was like, I figured it out. But my mom was about to like tap my shoulder and go, "No, don't eat the thing, Josh." I remember it so vividly. It was so funny.
I would have, like, if I was that mom, I would have been afraid that you would chip your teeth.
Oh no. Oh, but then I remember just all the struggles of battery dying and then not having batteries in the house and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so it made me really appreciate the time that I had my Game Boy alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I got worried that my Pokemon were gonna die if the battery was out.
Oof.
Oof.
Did you have a Super Nintendo?
I did have a Super Nintendo.
Did you have the Super Game Boy for it?
No, I did not. That was one thing I got for the next Christmas. Fortunately, then I also got Pokemon Silver, which was
always
like
my saving grace.
Which was always like a upgrade. I was like, holy crap! Because I didn't know anything about gaming. I didn't know how to research gaming. I didn't know anything about any games. I just got given games by my parents. I have no idea why I got given games. Actually, my parents were actually the ones that got me into gaming, which is kind of ironic because I don't think they like me playing games that much. But
my parents just didn't care.
Yeah,
about games at all.
Yeah.
They didn't get it. My mom liked Tetris.
But either way, I'm really grateful that they decided to just buy me this game.
Yeah. Pokemon was awesome.
I'm glad I like that show. But that's all I have to really say about Pokemon. But next up is your time, and it's a non-game pick this time.
Yep, it's my early non-game passion, I guess, which would be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was the first thing that the first show on TV. Like I like Disney stuff and all that noise, but Power Rangers was the first time that I got excited to watch something. Like, nice noise outside. I got excited for the next episode. I never wanted to miss any of them. Like any other shows that I liked, I was like, if I miss it, who cares? But Power Rangers, for some reason, just grabbed me. And it was the first time that because I was never really into toys that much. So I usually whenever I wanted something for Christmas or for my birthday, it was video games. And with Power Rangers, it was the first time that I wouldn't ask for a video game. I would ask for Power Rangers merch. So the Megazord, where you could combine the different Zords into the one Megazord. That to me was super awesome. I have
no idea what a Megazord is.
Do you not? So basically,
I've never seen an episode of Power Rangers, dude.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Basically, so the Zords are every one of the Rangers has their own Zord, which is a mechanical animal, basically, a huge mechanical animal. That kind of has the way they sold it was that they were sort of a life form. So they kind of had the mind of their own, but they were completely mechanical and you could control them. Kind of weird. And the Megazord was basically you could transform all of these animals into one, basically a huge mech.
Okay.
And I was never into mechs. I wasn't into Transformers, any of that stuff. But for some reason, the way Power Rangers did it, the way they combined, was super awesome to me.
Oh yeah.
Where one of them was one leg and the other one was the other leg, and then one would kind of weirdly fold out.
All these toys would become one mega toy.
Exactly. All these Zords would become one Megazord.
Oh hell yeah. That would have been pretty mad as a kid. You would have been like, dude, I can just get these all together and just boom.
Yeah, and just figuring out how to do it too, because I was really young. It was actually kind of hard to figure out. But that was just really awesome. And then I had the weapons for it too. I was never into action figures. I didn't like those. But I had the replica weapons that were not to scale to the show, but to scale when you're a kid. So for me, they felt as big as they were in the show. For my body size, I guess. And they were also kind of cool because you could combine them into some super crossbow laser thing. And it was fucking mad. And I knew as a kid with the show, I knew it was silly. I knew it made no sense. They made these weird overdone movements because when they had their helmets on, you couldn't see their mouths. So when they were talking, they would just wiggle their head around super much.
Super much?
Super muchly. And dude, it was so weird. And I mimicked those movements sometimes because they were so weird to me. And I knew they were weird. But it was so and the pointing everywhere. And I knew that it was stupid. But I loved it for that. And I loved it for how stupid it was. Mm-hmm. And I was just I was so into that until I watched the first 3 seasons. I watched the 4th season, which then had a different name attached and was based on a different Sentai, which that is something we're going to talk about at some other time. I'm going to introduce you to that. Yes, even though the Genji skin looks more like Kamen Rider than actual Sentai.
Yeah, that's what he's based off, isn't he?
Yeah. And Kamen Rider was before Sentai. Sentai was kind of inspired by whatever. We're going to talk about that in some later thing because I'm going to introduce you to this. You better be ready.
I'm ready to watch it. I'm ready to learn. I mean, you already gave me a good recommendation.
Yeah. It's silly as fuck, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just so into that until they did Power Rangers Turbo, which I didn't like for two reasons. Reason number one was that it was based on cars, so the Zords this time were all cars, which cars. I didn't like cars. And the second one was they were trying to appeal to kids more by having a kid actor in it. And the kid would play one of the Rangers, but when he morphed into a Ranger, he would then look like an adult. And that to me was stupid. I didn't like that at all. And that's where I stopped.
Okay.
And I guess that's my whole Power Rangers thing. But Power Rangers was awesome.
Power Rangers do seem awesome. Unfortunately, I never got into it. I was more into cartoons as a kid.
I like both.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny to me now in hindsight how the things that I was really into were kind of all Japanese, even though I at the time didn't know they were Japanese.
Well,
Like,
Japanese stuff is pretty mad, man.
Yeah,
They make good. They make weird stuff, but they do make good stuff.
and I like weird.
Speaking of weird, I gotta tell you about my movie. Fucking hell. Okay, so my favorite movie when I was a kid would have been called Titan AE. Now, this movie came out in like 2000 or something like that. And was it a second? Now, if you've ever seen the movie Treasure Planet, you know, that Disney movie, it was all right. But it's basically
I'm aware
that.
of it.
It's basically that, but the whole focus of the movie was they decide to try and build a planet out of there's this amazing machine out in space that humans have made that can quote unquote make a planet out of whatever, and eventually that ship gets lost along with the main character's dad. And so it's the whole cringy sort of coming of age story where it's oh yeah, I want to get off this spaceship sort of thing, and I want to go off and adventure and stuff. And then then he gets into the whole boy meets girl sort of thing. But then I don't know, the movie was just, what's the word? Sci-fi bliss to me. Just because everything about it felt human, but it felt like it wasn't too alien. It felt like what humans could have achieved if given progression, sort of deal. Everything looks sort of really man-made, so to speak.
Yeah,
And I
think
really
I know what
like
you
that
mean.
about that. And the main villains, they didn't really talk too much about them, except that they have a really big presence in the universe, and that people don't really understand how they work, and they're like an energy-based life form, and they can more warp and shift and stuff, and their whole shtick is that they can knock out electronics. And they have space whales in the movie, man. Space whales.
Space whales. Fuck yeah. Could be a Kojima thing. Reminds me of the
Oh, I have an echo?
apparently.
Oh,
I turned you down on my end a little bit. They
Oh, dear.
don't hear you more quiet, but maybe it went through my microphone.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me know if it's better. I turned him down just for myself.
But either way, the movie was a flop. It lost $50 million to the studio. But all I can say is that I highly recommend it, just because the animation was done really well. It's a little cheesy, but it's a really nice little hidden gem, I think it is. Because when I talk to people about it, no one knows what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've not heard of it really. Maybe I've seen it on lists or something, but
Oh, it's much better now. There we go.
nice. But weirdly enough, not really seen it or like known anything about it, even though it is made by Don Bluth, who is a very famous animation director.
Oh man, they have a couple of space scenes, and they are breathtaking. It made me fall in love with outer space, just with like how they made like these little clusters of stars. He turned them into like waves and stuff, and there are like these species of deep space sort of whales that sort of feed off sunlight, and they just sort of just glow by. Oh, it's incredible. And I think it was the first movie I ever saw that they did 3D animation too, with 2D animation. Before Treasure Planet, that is.
Which I'm not too fond of even today.
It's a bit jarring, but at the time, I hadn't even seen Toy Story, so I didn't even know 3D animation was a thing.
Yeah, I wasn't even into Toy Story. Like 3D for some reason just I took a while to.
It's in the uncanny valley,
I guess, and it's just I don't know.
If you look at the kid now.
Whoa, dude, he's scary.
He's
really
scary, isn't he? Wow.
But it took me a while to adapt to like CG stuff and like the stuff that looks like it's flash animation and stuff. That I was one of those who was like kind of cranky about it when they kind of did away with just fully hand-drawn stuff.
But, you know, I guess it's a little bit cheaper and costs whatever. But
yeah,
by the way, that's it.
And I mean, some people were super into it.
All right, so
okay.
Now, where are you up to now? We're up to your favorite game. Your number one
favorite game pick number one.
And that is...
So, it's not like my number one favorite. It's just one of my favorites, basically.
What?
I don't have a number one favorite.
Come on, you got to have one game where you just go, yep, that one every time.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't.
Oh, what?
No.
Oh, man.
And all of the ones that would count as like contenders aren't even on here. I just kind of tried to like give a good vertical slice.
Okay.
But this one is very, I don't know, kind of taught me a lot too. So that's why I wanted to include this one, which is Super Metroid. So, one thing that Super Metroid taught me, like before I even start talking about the game itself, was being open-minded when it comes to franchises and things. Because when I was a kid, I played Metroid 2 on Game Boy on my uncle. Let's just call him my uncle. It's a bit more complicated, but he was kind of my uncle. And like whenever I was at my grandma's house, I was playing his video games, and he had Metroid 2 on the Game Boy, and I hated it. I absolutely hated Metroid 2.
Why?
Because of the sound design was super unpleasant. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where to go.
On a Game Boy.
Yeah, partially, and it just was so unappealing, and I also was never into sci-fi as a kid, so there being like a space person on the cover just didn't appeal to me at all. So when I played that and I hated it, I usually when I played something and I hated that and it's a whole series, I assumed I would hate the whole series. Because I didn't have that much money to like buy games and try games, so there was no renting here when I was a kid. So I needed to be sure that when I buy a game, I'm gonna like that game. So whenever I like tried a game in a series, if I didn't like it, I would assume I wouldn't like the other ones. What was that? Thanks for the follow.
Oh, nice.
Flow sweetly. Thank you.
So is the music up?
There is music, yes. There should be
All
music.
Cool.
Wait, is there not music?
I checked. I can't tell.
It's actually fading out right now. There should be music.
Maybe turn it up a little bit.
I'm gonna turn it up a little bit.
Just
anyway, so with Super Metroid, I assumed I wouldn't like that one either.
Okay.
Ooh, whoa, that might be too loud. And with Super Metroid, I was always reading video game magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
And in some of them, they talked about Super Metroid and said, like, Super Metroid is one of the best games ever. It's so awesome. And they kind of talked about it. And the way they talked about it, how you get, like, an item and that opens up another part of the level and stuff, was just, like, sounded really cool to me because I was a fan of Zelda.
Yeah.
But I still didn't get it because I was like, that's probably not for me because I'm not into that kind of stuff and I hated Metroid 2. But then a friend, like a much older friend of my sister, so I think he was actually an adult at that point, and I was in like first or second grade, so it could have been seen as creepy, but it wasn't. He actually sat down to play some Super Nintendo with me, and he brought some of his games. And one of those games was Super Metroid. And he tried to sell that game to me with things that I didn't, not sell, like, but sell me on the game. I mean,
hey kid, you want to buy this?
No, that's not what he said. But like, trying to get me excited for the game.
Okay.
With arguments that I did not care about at all. He was hey dude, hey, die in the game. And look, it's a girl, and she's losing all of her armor. She's almost naked. It's not awesome. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I did not care. But the game itself was just so awesome. Like, it quickly became one of my favorite games. And like, he was blown away by just how much I loved it that he actually left me the game.
Really?
Like, he actually gave it to me. Later on, I borrowed my Super Nintendo to him after he sold his for pot. And then I borrowed him, or I lent him my Super Nintendo and games and stuff, and he then actually didn't give all of them back to me, including some that were mine, not even just Super Metroid. I was super mad about that.
What a dick.
But thanks to him, I played one of my favorite games ever. And Super Metroid, if you were to ask me about the perfect game, I would say it doesn't exist. But one of the closest games to perfection, in my book, would be Super Metroid.
Okay. All right.
Because it's, for what it tries to do, and for what it had to work with, it did everything just nigh perfectly. There's, at the beginning of the game, for instance, there's certain ways the game teaches you by the level design alone, without words. Teaches you how to do things and makes sure that you learned it before it opens itself up to enough that you could miss things. So it's basically, it starts super linear and does certain things that you don't notice if you don't suck ass at video games. You don't notice that you're in a tutorial area. Like, seriously. Like, for instance, there's one part that has like a ledge that has no business of being there.
Okay.
And when you just play through it, you just jump over it and you don't even notice. You're like, oh, why is there a ledge there? But if you think about it, if you were somebody who's just like pressing buttons and you have no idea how it works, how the physics and everything work, you would inevitably, just by pressing buttons, find out how to do things. And the game does it enough.
It taught you as it went.
Yeah, and does it enough that it can be sure that anybody, even the biggest noob, will have understood the game by the time that it opens up that you can get lost. Okay. And I think that's really awesome. And there's so much to it. Like, it's a huge world, and it's an open world that is closed up by certain abilities that you need first.
Okay.
So kind of like a Zelda game. And it does that in such a good way where it feels like you're exploring and you're finding things, but it's designed in a way that without you noticing, it kind of makes you find those things. So even though it feels very, very isolated and very, very overwhelming, you are inevitably going to find the things that you need. And that to me was awesome because like I've never seen something like that. At that time, games for me were run from the left all the way to the right, beat the level, go to the next level, rinse and repeat.
Right.
But at
that point there was no depth.
Exactly. But this game just opened up everything, and the atmosphere and the music and everything was just amazing. It was like something that I've never seen, and the ending of it, again without words, has a huge twist, like for the time, and is like actually kind of emotional if you pay attention. Without words though, on a Super Nintendo, and that's just like, it's so good. I'm gonna stream this one at some point, so be ready for me gushing even more. Because dude, this game is awesome, and if you haven't played it, do it.
You're gonna get me to play it, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
I haven't played it, and my friend Matt is actually a really huge Metroid fan. I think he'll appreciate me playing it.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch too. Dude, it's so good.
I'll definitely get into that. Oh, and Pandsu, someone wants to know any Switch related games that you can recommend.
I mean, just kind of the standard stuff, I guess. Super Mario Odyssey is really good.
That's a nice name.
Like even though I'm not even the biggest fan of like 3D Mario games, like the standard 3D Mario games, Mario Odyssey was really well made and really fun. Breath of the Wild
is okay.
Isn't bad. Let's just stick to that. Breath of the Wild is bad.
We have reasons, but I found it fun for like the first easily 40 hours.
It's worth playing. It's worth buying and playing.
Oh, definitely. Like, it's a fun game, don't get me wrong, but if you look at it from an angle, it's kind of a bit bare bones.
Yeah, but I think that's actually something I want to talk about. I have heard of Fea.
Fea?
I think it's pronounced Fea.
It's not an indie game, is it?
Yes, it is. It's one of those EA originals, like one of those backed by EA indie games.
Okay,
like
so
A Way Out, and with A Way Out, it was actually.
They have there's support then, so that's all right.
But I haven't played it. It looks really unique. I'm just not sure how much I'm gonna like it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it is very indie. It is a very indie game. Anyway, that's not really what we're talking about right now. So let's because we're already like an hour in, and we're not even halfway through our first topic. So let's move on to your favorite game pick.
Okay, which is, now you can't hurt me on this, but it's Undertale. I decided to change my decision because while you were talking through about the impact Super Metroid had on you, I was thinking about what games have actually impacted me, and the only one I could actually think of that made me take a good look at myself was Undertale. If quite frankly, I mean, a lot of people say this is their favorite game, and I don't doubt them. It's an amazing game. I just really hate fan base and how far they took.
Yep.
Just how unnecessarily far they took everything, and how unnecessarily deep they looked at it when it was just it definitely made me question everything I thought about video games, and it made me
with you on this one.
Oh yeah, it just made me think and made me question everything I know, and it made me feel guilty about every time I've just sort of just instinctively ran in, and the first thing I see I decide to kill. And I fucking hated how it made me realize how like what's the word? Trained? Conditioned? I'll say conditioned.
Yeah, conditioned.
Conditioned to acting on violence first. And I know that a lot of games are designed that way, and that's just how it is. But like this one really made me feel guilty for every bad choice I made. Well, not there's no bad choices in games. There's just your choices. That's how I see it.
Or the choice the game makes you.
Yeah, the choice the game makes you. But like, I just love how it dealt with certain issues that a lot of people can relate to in terms of like being an introvert, like coming out of your shell as a person, and like learning to, I don't know, be accepted and stuff like that. And like those lessons at that point in my life I've already learned. But I don't know, just the ending. Oh my goodness, the pacifist ending. Just, it was a combination of me loving the meta jokes, everything up to there, the characters, the story, and just it all culminating to just this touching moment between just this kid that you barely know or whatever. And I don't know, you just somehow throughout the entire game it just made you care about these characters. I just loved it. And I don't know, it was the one game that I could go back to every now and then, and just it would make me feel better about myself, I guess. Help me center myself in terms of like where I'm going. I don't know. It just does it for me. I don't know. And then playing through Genocide was
definitely not the only one.
Well, playing through Genocide, it was also an incredible experience because it made me feel like a monster. Oh, the music slows down when you enter towns. All those like nice little, the music was incredible too. Just chiptune. I know they had like some of the songs actually could layer over each other and they combined. And I think they did that for the end of the song, Hopes and Dreams, I believe. They added the theme songs of a couple of main characters into it. That was pretty nice.
The music is probably what I like the best about it.
Oh yeah. And there are these amazing orchestral versions I listen to every now and then that they do it way more justice than 8-bit sound. Oh, not even 8-bit, 16-bit? I want to say 16. 32?
It's just chiptune. It's
chiptune.
neither.
Yeah.
It's just using like chiptune sound fonts with modern tools. But the sound fonts are based on 8-bit stuff.
But either way, just Undertale for me was just the one game that, I don't know, just helped me out, made me feel good, made me question a few things, I guess.
Yeah, which is understandable, even though I don't feel the same.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, but I don't know. I just really got into it. That does help. I'm a stoner. And
I don't know. For me, like my problem was like usually with like the jokes of it, I usually sat there and was like, ha ha ha, very funny, ha ha. Like it just like was kind of getting too much. Yeah. Like something about that was just like missing the mark. There was like, ha, clever. I get it. It's because of this. And it's, I don't know. Somehow
I never really. I'm kind of dry humor, so I found it funny.
Me too, though. That's the thing. Like it was all stuff.
I found it funny, sort of sarcastically, and I sort of like took it a bit seriously, and then they kind of blindsided me with a couple of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like while I was playing it for a few hours, it was always like, this should be my jam. Like this should appeal to me, but it's just missing the mark left and right. Like it's like I don't know, if you get like your favorite food somewhere, but in a different place, somebody else makes your favorite dish, and there's something that's off about it, and you just don't enjoy it, even though it's your favorite dish. That's kind of how it felt to me. It was always just like slightly off the mark. But anyway, I guess I'm gonna move on to my favorite non-game pick, number one.
Definitely, dude.
Which is Digimon.
Oof, Digimon.
Which actually also taught me a lot about being open.
Wasn't it Chinese?
No.
Wasn't it?
No. Digimon is from Japan.
Is it?
So Digimon was, when it came out, I was like, dude, this is just a freaking Pokemon ripoff.
Yeah.
What is this shit? No, not Digimon World, the show, or Digimon as a whole, but I'm mostly talking about the show. But I learned more about it, and Digimon was actually out before Pokemon, just not the show.
Yeah.
So Digimon originally was a direct sequel to Tamagotchi. It was like a more advanced version of Tamagotchi, and then they turned that into a PlayStation game called Digimon World, and then the anime came out. And the anime, at first I was like prejudiced about it, and that was around the time I couldn't watch any TV because I wasn't living at home. But then, like, when I went on like an Easter vacation back home, they had a big block that just kind of recapped all of the stuff that happened so far. Like, had like tons of episodes, just marathon. And I watched it and I was like, wait a minute, this is actually really fucking awesome. So it really, like, I ended up like loving it so much more than Pokemon as a show. Like, I still prefer the Pokemon games, but as a show, Digimon was just so much better. It was one of those first ones that, like, as an anime, really grabbed me emotionally, because it had these different characters that all went through different things, and like it kind of represented a different part of childhood in a way, because they had different age groups and stuff, and they kind of really like dealt with the different things that you would deal with and that you would care about if you're like in elementary school or something. So and they really did that in the way that like anime, like shonen anime kind of does it, where it just like grips you, and then it gets like super hype, and the music is super hype and everything. And yeah, it was just really cool. It was just really cool, and had some dark moments too. Like the movie was actually really dark and had like a certain type of animation that was very like more mature than you would think, and it was awesome. And like the whole franchise, actually, like the second season was like just a continuation, so you would see them as like almost adults. New ones would come in, and then the third one was surprisingly dark as well. But Digimon was awesome.
Man, I only saw the movie when I was a kid, and I thought that was pretty rad. Honestly,
yeah, the movie.
I'm saying rad because at the time that was a thing, wasn't it?
That is very much something they would have said in the English dub of the movie.
Oh, it's totally rad. I remember how good the animation was, and this was like, I think Digimon was actually the first time, because I think I saw Digimon first before I saw Pokemon.
Really?
No, that's wrong. I saw Pokemon first.
Yeah,
no,
Pokemon
Digimon was the first
like
anime movie I ever saw, I think. And well, because like Pokemon had like that set animation, you know, but like this was the first time I saw animation that was like really well presented.
Yeah,
like really artistic. I didn't really count like Disney movies. You know, their own thing.
No, the movie definitely did some artistic things. Like, it's by the same guy who also did like he did the Wolf Children movie, for instance, which is also a very special movie. And like he's an artist, and he really made that, like he ran with it, and like just the whole idea I mean, there was the protagonist, and then there was his little sister who was still a baby, just with like this like whistle. You remember that, where she would just not say anything but just use a whistle to like communicate or something?
Hold on, I think so. I think I remember. Jeez, it's been so long. I can't remember.
But then there was basically like in the middle of the night, and nobody else like noticed. I think they were the only ones who could see it for some reason. And this was like a prequel to the series, and they apparently didn't even remember. But like, there was this huge fight in the city, in Tokyo, between freaking Greymon and like a different huge Pokemon, which Digimon.
Pokemon. Wow, he's been conditioned, boys.
I did it. I did the thing. But that was kind of like a Godzilla movie. Yeah, I kind of feel bad a little bit. Just like when I called my DPS Smurf my main.
Oh, you nerd.
But man, that was like so awesome. And then they adopted one of them and like hid it from their parents, and he would shit on the floor. Yay!
Yeah, the best part about that movie, eating popcorn, watching that.
Which was a throwback to the Tamagotchi part.
Oh
because
yeah,
in Tamagotchi they shit on the floor and you have to clean it up.
Those things, didn't they? I think I had one. I think I still have one somewhere. Holy crap! If it is still like alive, it is hungry. Probably dead.
It's dead.
Probably.
If they get neglected, they die.
Okay.
A horrible death.
No. Oh,
but
no.
I guess that's about it. That's it about Digimon.
All right.
I almost said Pokemon again.
All right. I think all right. So next is my favorite non-game, and that would actually be the series Gurren Lagann. Now, well, yeah, it's an anime, but I don't know. It came at a time when I really just wanted something heart pumping, and it delivered that. It delivered it
Definitely.
On so many levels, and just like all I wanted, because I think at the time I was actually pretty depressed. A lot of shit happened, and I was just at a bad time in my life where I was doing my apprenticeship as a chef, and our work was really hard. Everything just seemed gloom and doom because they treat you so terribly as an apprentice. Like, one of the things they teach you to get your hands ready for long shifts is that if you fuck up, the chef would get both your hands and stick them on the grill for a second.
Why?
Because that's just, it would get your hands tougher to heat.
I guess.
And that's what happened. Yeah. My fingers, from over the 5 years I've been a chef, I've like deadened from the amount of like hot things I've grabbed with my bare hands. Oof. So like now I there's like not much feeling in my fingertips actually. Just from me being, and anyway, besides that didn't
anime.
Really help with the depression, yeah. But then this came along, my friend who was super into anime, and he really loved Kamina, and he loved the whole, if you just believe, you can do anything. And at the time when I needed like something to help me get through it, the whole message of if you just believe hard enough and just work your ass off, you can do anything. Yeah. And like they just amplified that to 10 or 100 million with the size of the robots. Jeez, those robots were huge. I think one of them got to the size of like universes, and they was throwing universes at each other.
Really?
Yeah. It gets
I only
to that
saw
point.
It at the beginning of it, so I don't know.
Dude,
how
they
it
get
escalated.
So mad. Like one of them's the size of the moon, one of them, then it escalates, then it goes up to the size of like a galaxy, then that escalates to the size of like one universe, and then that escalates to another one that's throwing mini universes. And then in the movie adaptation, there's a version where it gets bigger to the point where it's looking down on the universe as a singularity, and it like crushes the main bad guy with his foot.
Japan, please.
Japan, please. It was the best. It was so
Very
good.
Gainax.
And it just, the whole point of the show is just scream as loud as you can and you can get shit done. And yeah, it really helped. It really relieved a lot of tension and stress, but it always helped me remember the lesson that you can generally do anything as long as you believe in yourself enough to get better at doing it. I don't know. It was a weird message I pulled away from that show. It was a weird message I pulled away from that. But I don't know. Pushing through limits was, I guess, the message.
Yeah, definitely. Like coming of age and stuff. And
It was good. It was definitely my favorite anime right now.
I definitely need to get around like rewatching what I've already seen and then watching the rest.
Yeah,
because
if you want to really condense it, the two movies do a pretty good job of cutting away the fat. You don't really need to see some of the stuff that was in it.
I would probably still just go with the series. I tend to not like the movie versions that much.
Actually, the movie version was a bit more canonical than the series in terms of the second movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, I found the movie ending was far more like satisfying than the original, because they left out like a huge question, and well, not really a huge question, but I don't know, they ended it sort of I don't know, like it needed more, and the movie just added that more that felt satisfying.
Well, I'll look into it, but it's definitely one that.
But yeah,
I
definitely
liked
check out
and
the series. I highly recommend.
Stopped for some reason.
It's old as hell though. Not really.
It's not that
Early
old.
2000s. Yeah.
Still fine. It's not
Okay.
that old.
And so next on, we have your second favorite game.
Yeah, or my second pick for favorite games.
Oh, sorry.
So that one would be Portal 2, which is like one of my favorite modern games.
Ooh.
And Portal 2 was just one of the biggest surprises ever, because Portal 1 already blew me away with just how much it did for being a puzzle game. Because at the time, kind of still today, but especially at the time, I wasn't the most patient gamer. So like when there were puzzles,
Right.
I liked solving puzzles, but sometimes I just got fatigued super quickly with puzzles. So when there were too many, I was like, yeah, no, fuck this, I'm out. And Portal is a full game just about puzzles.
Yeah. So
So
this
I
should have been
thought
like
I
a
would-
red warning flag.
Yeah, but I just liked the gimmick so much of the portals. But I fully expected to like play a few levels and then be done with it and be like, no, I don't care. Because there's just no action in between.
Yeah.
But for some reason, or somehow, they managed to just make that one of the most engaging, meme-worthy, funniest.
Meme movie. Oh, what was the guy's name? Carl. I will.
It's in the
get
second.
Scientists to make combustible lemons to burn your house
Cave
down.
Johnson.
Cave Johnson. Oh. I
Yeah,
remember
and
that.
that's really the
it was
awesome
so
part.
good.
Like, Portal 2 did everything that the first one did better and added so many more nuances and new things. And it's like just the scale of it, how they
It's how you do a sequel.
but they nailed it. Like the whole opening scene of it had all the humor that you would expect, but it also had so much spectacle and drama. Like just with like you waking up in that room and everything is just falling apart because it's super old, and then you're like breaking out and like all of that stuff, and like all the character arcs. Like every character goes through an arc, and just there being characters.
Yeah.
Freaking Portal 1 only had Gladys.
You can see the descent sort of in what's going on in the Aperture Labs.
Yeah, and then just like Cave Johnson himself was awesome, and he's just a recording that's just playing sometimes.
Yeah.
And the whole twist about like how Gladys is like Caroline put into a computer against her will, even. Like that was kind of like, it made you like, and how you kind of teamed up with Gladys too was like a huge twist, and like she was still cynical and like still hated you, but you were teamed up, and like there was so much there. And then the co-op was awesome. The Mario Maker aspect of how you make your own levels and how you can share them was awesome.
Yeah.
They had so much, and the gels and everything. Like it was
just a really good game.
Yeah, and it had so much to it. Like I don't know.
It was a
it's
game
like,
made by Valve. Yeah, Valve, make more games, please.
Dude, I wish they would still make games. And there are so many game design things that you can learn from it. Like how subtle clues that you don't even notice if you don't really look for them. Like audio clues that you zone them out because you think they're just like background noise. But they subtly tell you information about the level. Like certain things sometimes make very subtle noises that you don't notice until somebody points them out, and then you're like, wait, yes, that's how I know that is there. And stuff, and like everything, just there's so much polish to it, and just how much you can just like learn about it too. Like there's a whole story.
You gotta learn.
Yeah, that too. But also
sorry.
like a story. Like
Yeah.
I saw a video once about how the game actually doesn't or shouldn't have a sequel, because it's a full story that already existed, told in a different way. I don't remember what story it is, but it made perfect sense.
Okay.
And you don't notice that, but it's actually like an adaptation of like an old, like ancient story or something. And to me, like
something to do with Ratman or something, wasn't it?
I don't know, but maybe it's like Greek mythology or something.
I don't know.
But like even how it ends, where you like in that field and like you're outside. You remember that, like at the very end?
I remember that.
And then you get even the companion cube thrown outside. Like that is like the ending of like a different story, and like it means something. There's like some meaning there, and like there's so much to it that first time around, and if you just kind of play it, you don't notice. And it's really something. Like if you ever want to get into criticism of video games or even making video games, Portal 2, in my opinion, is a must play and must analyze. You have to analyze that game, because it teaches you so much about everything. About gameplay, about conveyance of how to do things, because somehow you always figure out even the toughest puzzles, because the game is designed very, very carefully to make you notice things.
That's true. I did have fun, especially with co-op, and how they added extra depth with the second character.
Yeah.
They just opened up so many more opportunities for different puzzles. Pretty mad.
Yeah, it's great. So let's move on to your second pick.
Okay, so my second pick was actually at a time when I had a lot of free time. I think I was actually at Video Easy, rental store and all that sort of stuff. They don't really exist anymore, just because renting DVDs doesn't really happen anymore. But at the time, you could just go inside and you could look around, and they had a bargain bin for like old games that they didn't really want, or like just weren't rented out enough. And one of them was this weird JRPG that was just in the bottom of the bin, and it was called Persona 3. Now, that game, I saw it a couple of times every time I went in, and I never bought it. But then one day I got really bored, and I went, all right, I'll give it a shot. It's $30, why not? Picked it up, and it was everything I wanted. It was because I was super into anime at the time, and I always hated Australian schools because I really loved how Japanese schools like worked. And I like cities. Because where my school was, it was really like bumpkiny, and there was a lot of it just felt really like in the past sort of school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything was like outdated and shit. So when I could play, so this game allowed you to live through the life of a high school student who basically has these powers, or like personas, and like these personas were basically just a manifestation of like your hidden personality. Like everyone has a persona that they wear on their face, a certain personality trait or a certain like way they act. And there are hidden ones, which are your true personality, and those are your personas. And I'm explaining this really badly. I don't know how to explain this well, but it was just a RPG where you lived out the daily life of a high school student, and then at night, during midnight, which was the gimmick, there's this thing called the dark hour, and then monsters would come out at between 12 a.m. and 12 a.m. It was a magical hour where only certain few could exist in this time period. And there were these creatures called the Shadows, a very original name. Why did they call them Shadows? It's so boring. and each shadow was just like a negative sort of emotion, or like a negative thought, or like a negative personality trait, and they would feast on like the unsuspecting human populace, and it was like a curse, and people who got affected by this were slowly turning into like zombies, sort of. They didn't have anything. They were called apathy syndrome cases or something, where they just had no reaction to anything. Their emotions were gone. And so there's this whole underground sort of thing trying to figure out what's going on, and you join that. And you just have, like, they're all high school students, because of course they are. And I don't know, you could just romance people, and like you had, the whole gimmick was that you had to make friendships. And the more friendships you had, the stronger the personas you got in combat. And personas were kind of like stat boosts, or like a sort of role you would fill. And each character had a different one, but your character had the ability to have multiple personas, because he was like a blank slate, or that's how they wanted to portray the character. And so you could just have whatever ones you want, and that was like, oh wow, you have so many personas, and that would let you mix up combat. So you would switch between a healer sort of persona, heal up your team, and then switch back to like an attacker one for the next run. They had all enemies sort of had like a rock paper scissors sort of like battle system. Like fire would beat ice, ice would beat like lightning, and something like that. Different shadows had different properties. Some were resistant to physical attacks, so you had to use like a really high magic damaging sort of persona, and then switch to like a persona that's really high in defense the next round, because you knew a heavy attack was coming. And so you just had to build up this sort of small army inside of yourself that you could switch per turn. And at every night, they gave you this incentive to do combat, because you could choose whether or not you actually did combat throughout the entire game, because you had to go into this tower that would appear at midnight, and that was the whole thing. Like, why is this tower here? And this tower was the school that transforms. This is so confusing. Jeez, this is really weird when you put it into words. But basically, the school. Yeah, it is. It's very Japanese. The school would transform at the dark hour, and it turned into this giant tower called Tartarus, which is like based off like some tower in Hades and like Greek mythology. And there were just different floors, so you had to like climb each floor every night, and you would get higher and higher to like checkpoints and beat bosses. And throughout the game, you just lived day by day, go to school, do this, hang out with friends, build up your friendships. So your personas, which are your personality traits, get stronger, and then you can just get higher and higher on the tower. And the whole gimmick is that what is at the top? What happens? What happens if you get to the top? And then all of a sudden, every month, a super persona, or like some demon boss that represented a certain arcana from like tarot cards, would show up, and that was the boss. So every month, and the characters figured this out, that every month this one giant shadow will appear, and they have some sort of significance to the dark hour. And so now you're just set to live out these school lives, balancing your social life with this other one, because if you go out too much and you do too much combat per night, then you get tired and fatigued, and then you got to go to school, and then you make choices like, do I sleep during the class? I don't get my stat bonus in like intelligence, which will affect your social standing, yes, but you can sleep it off and get back up to normal standing, and then you can fight again the next night. But you'll fail on your exams, and they gave you little bonuses for doing stuff like that. And the incentive of making the friendships was good enough that the characters were interesting to discover, and they gave you a reward for discovering these characters and learning more about them, because they were well-written characters. Some were pretty boring, but they all had their goals, their motivations and stuff. But I don't know, it was just a really fun RPG to just sink your teeth into. And then the Fez version, which is what I got, gave an extra after. It's like DLC before DLC was kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it extended the story, and just felt like you were playing through an entire anime just on a game, and I sunk like easily 200 hours into that thing. Best waste of time. Sorry, I rambled there for a bit.
Dude, that's what we're here for. Something that I really liked about how the school stuff worked was that to get your stat boost sometimes, you as the player would have to answer trivia questions.
Yeah.
That was in the third one, right?
Yeah, that was. And they continue that trend with the other ones as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was already in the third, but I thought so.
I think they did that in the first one too. I think. I don't even remember if they had like a first social link system.
I think
really gotta play
they
those.
did. I think they did. But that's really something that I really liked, how it was like actual school questions. That would make sense to be asked in school, and they wouldn't always tell you that, like the actual answer beforehand. So you as the player would get rewarded for getting these questions right without the game just flat out telling you, because in some other games it's like very obvious because they literally just told you. But in this one, like, you kind of need to have knowledge to get that certain stat boost. And also something...
sorry.
No, you first.
Nice. Well, and kind of like in school too, when they ask you the question, they actually tell you the answer sort of in the dialogue up to it. But usually most people just kind of skip through that because it's just dialogue or whatever that you've heard 100 times.
Well, but I guess I'm wrong about that then.
Because they tell you the answer. They tell you the answer, but if you're not paying attention, then you usually guess wrong. But if you actually read the text, like you're actually paying attention in class, you'll generally get it right. Or like they'll make it painfully obvious which answer it is.
Yeah, sort of. But I think I remember some stuff where you just had to know it. And
that was definitely that.
Before.
It was definitely that. It was just trial and error at that point.
Yeah. But I kind of like that. Smart. Like, where you got actually rewarded, and where it kind of felt like I was learning things just on the side, which just made me more immersed in the whole setting of being in school. But maybe that's also because I'm a geek, I guess. But also something you failed to mention, which I think does need mentioning.
Oh, what is it?
Fucking edgy it is.
Oh, yeah,
how you
right.
freaking shoot yourself in the face.
I know. Okay, so the way you summon your persona is that you have this thing called an evoker, which is a gun, which you shoot yourself in the head with. It's
so weird. Like, when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, the protagonist shoots himself in the head.
And then your persona transforms into death. Like, the personification of death.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we get it. You're edgy. Whatever.
Like,
but I really liked that. I really liked how edgy it was. Because, like...
I liked it, too, to be honest.
I'm so tired of just, like, the boring ass story. This felt like it was super edgy, and it was just going to go with it.
Yeah. It's definitely a good game. Definitely.
And you can get it on PSP, I think. Yeah. That's right.
It is one I kind of want to, like, it's on my list of RPGs that I want to play on the channel at some point.
Yeah.
And I basically have the whole franchise on there. So the whole Megami Tensei franchise, of which Persona is a sub-series. So that's like, basically it's there's going to be a randomizer that randomly picks the RPG. The next one I kind of already randomized.
Who is it?
I might randomize again because it's been a while since I did it. So.
Oh, you cheater!
No, but since then there's been new games added, so it feels like cheating to go with the other one. Okay. So it's the complete list now, and maybe I should now randomize. There's still there's a ton, but the one I randomized there was Chrono Trigger, so I would actually be fine with that. Chrono Trigger is good.
Chrono Trigger is pretty bad. All right. So next up we have your second pick for your non-game.
Yeah. So my second non-game pick would be Shaun of
the
the Dead.
By the way, we only have like one more of these to go. And then we can get on to the main topic. How long's it been?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll make mine short.
Well,
Oh, thanks, man.
Thanks, Grim. Also, hi, Grim.
Yo,
so
you still up there?
So my pick is Shaun of the Dead, which is one of the few comedies that I'm fully on board with. Like, usually with comedies, I like them, but I never, like, I watch them, I like them, then I kind of forget about them. But Shaun of the Dead is, in my opinion, absolute genius. It is super funny. Like, it gets the British humor done, just like this dry humor gets it just right. Yeah, Cornetto.
Fucking love that.
And like everything, but also if you watch it with the commentary by the creators on, there are certain things that you don't notice that are actually fucking obvious.
Oh, thanks,
if you just think about them. Thanks again, Grim.
Jeez, Grim.
That like for instance, they foreshadow everything that's gonna happen in the movie at the very beginning of the movie. But you don't notice. Like they like when they tell the plan or something. I don't quite remember.
Here's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the whole plan basically spoils the whole movie. You just don't notice. Like it spoils who dies and everything. And in my opinion, that alone is super awesome. And then the editing of it, like Edgar Wright is an amazing director in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Didn't he also do Super Hot Fuzz? That was the same people, eh?
Yeah, Edgar Wright did he did the whole Cornetto trilogy. So,
oh yeah.
This one, Hot Fuzz, and something end.
The last one. The End?
And not just the
Wait,
end.
No, it wasn't Paul, was it?
No, Paul was not by Edgar Wright. Paul sucked.
Yeah, Paul was kind of lame. It had Seth Rogen.
Yeah. But that other one,
I play a stoner character.
yeah, I don't really like him. But he also did Scott Pilgrim, and he also did Baby Driver, which was also awesome.
Oh, he did Scott Pilgrim. Really?
Yes, Scott Pilgrim.
That explains a lot.
But yeah, like Shaun of the Dead, in my opinion, is one of the best parodies ever because it's hilarious, but it also really gets the tropes down, and it's a parody of zombie movies, but it's still also a good zombie movie. It gets the drama of the zombie apocalypse pretty right, and it has a freaking dark ending, like a dark, perilous ending, which in my opinion is awesome. And then that whole scene with like the "Don't Stop Me Now" music, and then they beat up this old man who's a zombie. Dude, I love that movie. Like, it's one of the few movies that I just really wanted to own on Blu-ray, and I got it on Blu-ray. I don't tend to buy movies on Blu-ray, but that one I just had to own. It's so good.
It was a great movie.
Kind of all I have to say about that one.
But it was still a great movie.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
I gotta rewatch that.
We could do it together. I'm up for it.
All right, we'll give that a shot. All right, so my one is actually pretty niche. Pretty sure a lot of people haven't heard about this. Greasy, you may have, but I feel like you might have been too young. It's called Harvey Crumpet. It's an Australian clay animation film. Now, this movie I can fucking recite because it's not really that long of a movie. I think it was only like half an hour to 40 minutes long.
I think it's 30.
Something like that. But it told the story. It told the story of a guy called Harvey Crumpet, and it was about sort of a disabled kid who grew up in some really cold country or something, and then moved over here to Australia and had to adapt to life after his parents died. But his parents never took him to school because he got bullied at school, so his mom homeschooled him. And it was an interesting movie in seeing how different lives in different places can just be so, I don't know, so different from what we're used to, or because I got to see how this man who has had bad luck from the very start just go through life with like a smile on his face to an extent, and just I don't know, it's like a string of bad luck and like some good things happen to him, and it was just all about like how life is just a journey of up and downs, and learning to be okay with that at the very end, and being happy with your choices at like death's door was like the whole message, and I loved it. And at such a young age, when I watched it, I thought to myself, wow, there's going to be bad things. I get that now. There's going to be bad things, but at the end of it, as long as you are happy with the choices you've made, then it's okay, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, that was just I just took a lot from that movie. And it was really Australian in terms of like production. Everything sounded like it was from an ad from Australia in terms of like sound design. I don't know. But it was still a nice little film. The clay animation was actually pretty ugly. But I think that's about it for that one.
It does sound really awesome though. Like,
but it's
really
like
interesting.
Something worth checking out if you just have the time. Make you really step back and
I mean,
take a look.
who doesn't? Who doesn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
half an hour?
A lot of people apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Most people
So-
have half an hour. They just don't want to invest it.
and so now we want to talk about our shared favorite game, Overwatch. Now, how do we even start with this one?
I guess how we started and like what it means to us, like what it's done for our lives.
Well, you can start. I already just went.
Okay, so Overwatch for me was super surprising that I even liked it at all, because when that was announced, I was not interested because I tend to not like Blizzard games much, and I thought it was a MOBA, and I'm not into MOBAs.
Right.
But I, out of sheer boredom, checked out the open beta, and I was immediately hooked because of just the production value of everything, the charm of everything, how well it ran, and like the game feel of it, and the different characters, just how there was something for anybody.
Yeah.
And since then, I've not really put it down for longer than maybe 2 weeks at a time, when I was really like just done with the toxicity of the community. But I still love the game, like 3 years later almost. And I love the game to bits. And I'm really grateful for the game too, because I have grown as a person from the game. I've grown in the way of dealing with assholes.
Yeah. The toxicity there is
Exactly. And
especially learningful, I guess.
yeah, and trying to like keep a team together through all of that is something that I learned a lot from. And I learned not to be too anxious to speak English verbally to strangers,
Right.
which was a huge problem for me beforehand, where I would take at least 2 weeks of just like being in voice chat with someone where I would just use text chat, not my mic myself, to then open up enough to like say a few words here and there. It just like there was just something there that just like a wall that I had to break through, which was
I
really
need
hard.
hearing.
Yes,
God.
I always need hearing.
Oh,
And Overwatch did that for me. Overwatch
It
is competitive mode. Like I got so invested in competitive that I just learned to get over myself, and now I don't have a problem speaking to people anymore. And
which is really good.
I thank the game for that. Like a game being so engaging to me, especially like a multiplayer game, because beforehand, no other game, no matter how interesting it looked to me, really grabbed me anymore when it comes to multiplayer games. All of them just made me say, I would rather just play Counter-Strike, even though I was kind of sick of Counter-Strike at that point, because I played that for a long, long time. But Overwatch now, yeah, it's my favorite multiplayer game, even though it has a fucking toxic community problem. But it's the game itself is just amazing. Like everything about it, the shorts are awesome. The characters are awesome.
Because if you compare, if you just look at it, if you put Overwatch right next to, like, let's just say another shooter or any other multiplayer game, you just look at the polish and you look at the care, and yet the game has a couple of balancing issues and whatever. But that's just because everyone's played this game so much that it's gotten to the point where everyone's just knows what they're doing. Like, I remember at the start, no one knew what the meta was. No one fucking knew. Everyone was just feeling the waters, and it was great. Team comp didn't really matter that much, except as long as you had a healer and a tank. And even then, it was just go with what you want. You want to play Torbjorn? Fucking play Torbjorn. You know? And no one got angry. No one was angry at you for, like, just playing who you wanted.
Yeah.
Because it was just, oh, what's this guy do? What's this one do? Oh, this is so mad. Oh, wow. And then you'd had people who got to, like, level 100 by the end of it, still, like, trying people out. And that in itself is amazing to me. Like, how much effort and personality they pumped into, like, characters in terms of just, like their idle animations when they're just standing around. You see little hints of personality, like in the way they twitch and stuff. Like the weight of the gun feels right. Like how with Winston's gun, because he holds it by a handle on the top, like it sways, like he's holding something with like a handle.
Yeah.
And, just the detail is what I really love.
Or even the HUD moves around. You don't even notice that until you really look at it, or you like put an overlay over your stream, and then you see your overlay is not moving, but the HUD is moving when you're like running around or jumping. You don't notice that, but subtly it conveys weight in your movement.
And all of this is not at the sacrifice of gameplay. Everything is super smooth. Everything works fine. And none of these little polish bits affect the gameplay, and yet they exist to just emphasize the characters.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's great. I don't know.
Thanks, Scream.
When I think I told you this, but I had no idea about this game when it first came out. Like the first day I heard about it was on release date. And my mate goes to me, who I was living with at the time, just goes, "Oi, I'm getting a game called Overwatch. You doing anything?" I'm like, "No, not really. I'll go check it out." Go down to the store, buy the Origins Edition, just because I was thrifty at the time. And booted it up. Had no idea what I was getting into. And then I just fell in love. Because at that point, I'd never played like a multiplayer online shooter. Like Overwatch was my first online shooter game. I never played Counter-Strike, never played TF2, because until that point, I had not had internet until I was 19, which was when I recently moved out home. And just getting into online gaming in general was around when Overwatch came out. So that's why I love this game so much, just because it was probably my first. And kind of glad I missed out on Counter-Strike, because I feel like I would have been a more toxic person now if I probably played that. Maybe.
No.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know what CSGO would have done to me.
Well, okay. Yeah, CSGO. Yeah, okay. I started with Source, and Source was a different time. Yeah. Maybe with CSGO you would have been more toxic.
Possibly. I probably guaranteed it, actually.
Source was a very positive community.
Was it?
For the most part.
Oh, okay.
As long as you didn't play it like super competitively in like different leagues and stuff, then it got a little bit too try hard. But if you were just playing on like public servers and stuff, just for fun, then people were actually super positive.
Oh.
At least here. You know what's kind of spooky? Pretty much the moment we started talking about Overwatch,
Oh,
something
cheers, mate.
something popped up on my screen.
What?
New video from Play Overwatch.
Oh.
Mural time lapse, Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
It's kind of good timing, I guess.
You scared me. My notification popped up, and it's like I got Mountain Dew, and it's so loud. Gotta change that. But thanks, bro. What are we talking about next? I think we should go on to the next one, the main topic.
Yeah, the review. That's
Okay,
gonna be a long one too. Oh God. Oh God, what have we done?
Okay, so I think you should start with this one.
Should I though?
Yeah.
Should I be the one starting?
Okay, how about this then? All right, so recently Panda here got me onto an anime, and it was called Made in the Abyss. And
No the. Drop the the.
the what?
It's just Made in Abyss.
Made in Abyss. Sorry. Oh man, I'm terrible.
It's a terrible name.
It
Makes
is.
no sense.
Japanese people. Now, when he told me about it at the beginning, I was a little skeptical because apparently there's gore, but from the way he described it, it sounded like it was necessary. So I watched it, and quite frankly, it's probably one of my favorite animes right now. It is. The world is just so interesting, and just the way it tugs at your heartstrings, and just it's like an up and down roller coaster ride all the way through, and it just all right, you go. I yeah.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, actually before we go more into detail, I want to give a spoiler warning. When we do these reviews, we're going to talk about the full thing. So, we're going to give you another spoiler warning when we get into the really spicy stuff. And if what we talk about until that point sounds at all interesting to you, cover your ears. If you're watching the recording on YouTube, there's going to be a timestamp to when we're done talking about this and moving on to the next topic. But really, like, this show is amazing. Don't let us spoil it if you haven't seen it. But we are going to talk about the whole thing kind of in chronological order, so you should be fine for now. But once we get to the spicy stuff, there's going to be another quick warning. And please, if you are at all interested, skip that part. Please do yourself the favor.
Please. It was I sat in my seat for like an hour. And I just thought to myself, what?
Yeah, it is one of those. It is super special. So, okay, so let's start with the whole beginning. The first 3 episodes that are still like on the surface. So,
okay.
In those episodes, it's basically everything that's being established. They establish the lore, which is that in this world there is a mysterious abyss that is thousands of meters deep, and like I don't know how exactly, but like, yeah, tens of kilometers.
Ooh.
And nobody knows.
Can you show a photo of the map? That'd be pretty interesting to look at.
That would be pretty interesting. Let me.
You're gonna love it. This map looks like it's straight out of like a fantasy game. It's
yeah.
I paused the video and like studied it for like a solid like couple of minutes.
Save image. Enough. Okay.
Also, maybe you should turn me down a little bit. I sounded pretty loud on stream.
Really?
Just a touch.
I turned you to 50 from like 68. Why was it 68 and not 69?
I don't know.
Okay. Map. Oh god. On the fly stuff, editing, yay. Where is it? Image.
Also, I don't think the music is playing.
Yes it is, it's just super quiet, I guess. Yeah, it's like every track is like different volume, so I'm like adjusting it all the time.
Damn it.
Actually, I'm not even sure if it's.
I'm gonna have to give you my playlist or something.
Yeah, I mean, by next time, I'm probably more.
We'll probably be more prepared.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Where did I save this? Oh, screw this. Who cares? Let's talk about it.
Oh, come on. The map is really interesting.
Your face is interesting.
Thank you.
No problem. Where did I save it, though?
Just look it up on Google.
I did. I saved it.
Save it to your desktop.
No, I found it.
Oh, there you go.
It's so big, though. I'm not even sure if it's going to show that well.
I guess just show like the top half and then like scroll down or something slowly.
First of all, let's have that go down so we still have chat. Wait, not that far down. There we go. So, yeah, this is big, dude.
Yeah, man.
So this is the whole map, and it's huge. This up, like all the way up there, is a whole city. So that's how big it is. Like everything you see, like you see the surface at the very top. That's a whole city. So they established that, and nobody really knows what this is. And this just appeared apparently thousands of years ago. And they established the world having a whole economy around the abyss. And it's basically there's this whole city around it that basically just earns their money by sending people down into the abyss, excavating for relics that are some weird things that nobody can really explain for the most part.
But some have powers.
Yeah, some of them do. Like some of them are special relics. The further down you go, the more complex and the more special things get. And they ship them to other countries, and that's how they make their money. And the main character, the protagonist, is a girl who lives in an orphanage, and she is like everyone in that orphanage is a cave raider. Everybody is basically keeping the orphanage afloat financially by excavating things, and that those get sold. And the whole beginning 3 episodes are there to establish just how this world works, how the everyday life works in that city and in that orphanage especially. And they establish these side characters that are really, really strong, and you would think they would stick around. Spoiler alert, they don't. So it's this like really, really cool opening, and it actually has kind of everything that the show is about. It has beauty just from the world and the world building, because that's one of the biggest strengths of this whole anime. The background artist is actually someone from Studio Ghibli, so he knows what he's doing, and
it shows. Jeez.
It does. The backgrounds are beautiful, and you get a huge dramatic scene of like this huge monster trying to eat the protagonist and her friend, and then shortly after that we just see like sunrise that just goes over the city, and the way they balance the peril, the just cold apathy of the world and everything with just sheer beauty and wonder is already incredible. Amazing at the beginning.
And just how dark and deep and like mysterious this abyss is just extremely interesting. Just from hearing about it from the anime gets you invested too. Like I hear about this, and I hear about like the effects of going too deep and rising too high, and then just the dangers of like passing through each layer just makes it even more interesting as you watch the story unfold.
Yeah. And they establish how there's a curse, what they call it. They call it the curse of the abyss, which is basically something like diver's sickness. Like when in real life you do deep sea diving and you go back up too fast, you can have severe issues from that, including death. So like you can pop your eardrums, you can bleed and stuff. And that's kind of what they do in the anime as well. The deeper you go and the faster you ascend back up, the more severe the effects are. From in the first layer, just nausea and just weakness, to all the way down where you could just die from just going up a little bit, or you lose your humanity. They already tell you all of those things, and you're just really interested in just learning more about how this place works. And but
nitrogen narcosis. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's what it's called. and I guess just the pressure, like your body can't adapt to the pressure difference. But like in the show, they take their time. They take their sweet time at the beginning to establish all of the characters, which, as we know later, doesn't actually matter that much because we just leave them behind. But it's actually part of the whole point of the show and the kinds of lessons it's trying to teach you, and part of like what establishes the stakes as well, because the show gets the point across right away that things that feel important to you as the audience and that feel important to the protagonists, in the grand scheme of things, are unimportant, are just small. The abyss doesn't care, and can be lost at any time, and that's just kind of an accepted fact. And that is something that just establishes everything so well, and like makes you really wonder what's going to happen. Like you can never tell what's going to happen next.
Because they really enforce the idea that in real life, bad things happen, and the severity and like how serious those things can be are very real. And they just, I don't know, they just, what's the word? They don't hold back in terms of how cruel this world is, and just knowing the danger, they still choose to venture forth. And the danger is very real. Like there are these creatures that just eat you in one bite, or just have poison that kills you from a single drop and stuff like that. And they just introduce this whole ecosystem of these amazing creatures that have been clearly designed to fit the world, or like the level that they inhabit. And it's just very interesting to see the biology of like each layer as it goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
it's just incredible.
And like it's really like different every time. Every bit of the abyss really feels like a new country in another anime and stuff. But like at the beginning, since we're kind of still in the first 3 episodes, something that I really liked was how they handled the whole setting off on the journey. So what happens in the first episode is the main character, Rico, gets attacked by a split jaw, which is a huge worm-like flying creature. And they're supposed to be from deeper down in the abyss, because at her level, because there's different levels of cave raiders who have different colored whistles, and she's a red whistle, which is the lowest tier of cave raider. And she's only allowed to go into the first layer of, I believe, 6.
Yeah.
And normally there are not that many like really dangerous creatures there, but sometimes some of the ones from further down below come up to feed. And I guess on that day, a split jaw came up there and attacked her friend, and then she actually used her whistle to distract it, to make it attack her. And then as she is almost getting attacked by the thing like directly, a huge explosion happens. We don't really see what's going on, just a huge light, and then everything is just burned, including part of the head of that monster. And as we learn then, that the origin of that was a robot boy who is very mysterious in like where he even came from. He is the highest level of relic, so a very special relic that has not actually been recorded, because there's records of the things that are in the abyss, of many of the things that are in the abyss, but there's no record of something that is like that robot. And what is also very different about him is that he has biological parts that have no reason to be there. And I guess
it makes you question. Yeah, it sort of makes you question, who is he? Because he's clearly not human, but at the same time, he displays just human characteristics and just has human behavior.
Exactly.
Considering he's supposed to be a robot.
Yeah, and he's unconscious, but Rico takes him back home and like sneaks him into her room and stuff, and she starts experimenting on him because she's a very curious girl. She's been trying to go further into the abyss because her mom actually apparently like was one of the legendary white whistles, who are the highest level of cave raiders. And she made it like all the way down, and she feels this drive to go down there and go step into the footsteps.
I just remembered the reason why.
Yeah, we're gonna cross that bridge when we get to it. And so she then like she knows a lot about the abyss. She has her little notebook and stuff, and then she starts experimenting on that robot boy in some ways that are maybe not super appropriate, but they're played for laughs. So like she puts a freaking yardstick in his butt and stuff, and she tries to burn him to like wake him up and all that stuff, and nothing wakes him up. And then they use electricity and shock him greatly, and that wakes him up. But that apparently, that's probably what caused him to lose his memory.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know what he is, where, like who he is, where he came from exactly, or why he's up there. And he then gets kind of snuck into the orphanage as just a human boy, and he becomes part of it and becomes a cave raider himself. And eventually, a package from Rico's mother arrives at the surface that has sketches of creatures that have not been recorded before, of relics that have never been seen, as well as a note, is a hastily scribbled note that says, at the bottom of the netherworld, which is another word for the abyss, I'll be waiting. And as Rico gets to see that, she hastily makes the decision, I need to get down there. So they do make the decision, both of them, because she also wants to know where Reg is from, which is the name of the robot boy, Reg. Which she named after her dog that she once had. Which is kind of funny. And they make the decision to go down there, even though she's a 14-year-old girl and she's not allowed to even go deeper than the first layer. But she makes the decision, we're gonna go to the bottom. He crawled up from the bottom. Apparently he's from the bottom of the netherworld.
Which at the beginning I had a gripe about. Actually, for the first couple episodes, I was actually thinking to myself, I kind of can't get into this because I find the end goal to be just kind of stupid. Because at the beginning, her whole goal is to get to the bottom to find her mom, which she, like you just said, assumes. And throughout the entire thing, I'm just thinking, this is a stupid idea. Why would you do that? Because going down that deep, it's a one-way trip. You cannot go back up because there are just these horrible effects that, just like Kershi, like you said, but like at a certain depth, where the experienced cave raiders have gone, only they can get back up. But this girl, the fourth one, that's right.
Fifth is no
her,
return.
her knowing this, she decides to go down. So it's on the way, like leading up to that. What episode do they go? Do they go down the thing at episode 3?
At the end of episode 3, yes.
Yeah, they do.
That's where they descend. And the way they handled that, in my opinion, is amazing, because there's this other guy who at the beginning we see, like, that's the one she saves from the split jaw, and you can tell that he likes the protagonist, that he likes Rico, and he's against her going down, obviously, because he knows, everybody knows, if you go down there, you're not coming back up, which honestly is like one of the strongest points of this anime, is why everything just feels so much more powerful. In many other shows, when there's like a dangerous journey, you know the hero is gonna
be fine,
return,
because it's the main hero.
He's gonna return one day. Like, even if they say goodbye to their families and friends, you know, one day after the journey is over, they're just gonna return back home. But in this, it's immediately established that there's no coming back. This 14-year-old girl is never gonna come back home. She is gonna die down there, one way or another. And that just makes it so powerful. And of course, because everybody knows that, the boy, who obviously likes her and has grown up with her and is at least her friend, but you can tell there's more, of course he's against it, but he's still her friend, so he still helps her, he still ends up helping her. And there's a little bit of drama before that, but then they make up. And the whole goodbye scene, how they say goodbye, is handled amazingly, in my opinion. Because they have this, like, with tears in their eyes, saying goodbye, and you can tell that he is getting ready to tell her that he loves her. Like, that's the whole, like, like, in his mind, he says,
it's the whole shtick, essentially.
Yeah. Like, in his mind, he says, I've been meaning to tell her so long. But she doesn't let him say it. And you can tell that she probably knows what he's going to say, but she doesn't let him say it, because that's just going to put another extra burden on both of them. If that is said, that better remains unsaid. And the whole moment is greatly handled. Like, they feel like kids, but it still felt kind of mature in a way. And then many other shows like this would show the road ahead in a very adventurous way. Would show, like, get excited. Like, this is a goodbye, sure, but get excited for what's going to happen. But in this, the abyss that they show is just black. It's literally, you see nothing but black. And they descend into blackness.
Darkness.
And yeah, just where you see nothing. And the camera lingers on the people who are left behind. And that makes that moment so powerful, how they just, like, look, and they don't, like, because the way ahead is unknown. We as the audience don't really know what's going to happen, and the characters don't really know what's going to happen. And the way that is framed, in my opinion, is super powerful, how it just then lingers on the face of Nat, who's the boy I just talked about, who likes her. And just how, like his reaction to when Reg lets go. Because we didn't mention this, Reg's main power is that he has arms that he can extend.
Yeah, and that's how they are going to traverse the abyss, by just slowly dropping themselves down, like arm by arm. Yeah,
like rappelling down, basically. And then, like, we see him, like, holding on to the railing where he descends, and you don't see the characters themselves anymore from the perspective of the ones left behind. And the moment Reg lets go and the arm disappears too, like, the look on the face of Nat is, like, really powerful, in my opinion. Like, and that already establishes it so well. And, like, that for the first 3 episodes, and on one hand it feels pointless because they establish these other characters, they establish the world, how everything works up there, and these side characters, because Nat and Shiggy, the other boy, they feel like powerful side characters, but they're gone. Like, we sometimes check back.
That life they knew up there is now gone. The Abyss is their new life.
Exactly. So these really strong side characters, we never see them again, pretty much, for the most part. And I think that's awesome. Yeah, for some, like, we'd sometimes, as the audience, check back, but the actual characters never see them again. And that really makes that feel amazing, in my opinion.
It really does.
They also show, like, how Reg, even though he's new there and he's a robot, how much he cares already about them. Like, he actually makes it a point to go at night before they leave into the room of the youngest to tell him goodbye and stuff. And I thought that was really cool. And from that point on, like, episode 4, they then are in the Abyss, and basically that starts the next element. Which I guess I'll let you take over for that one.
Okay. So, basically, once they're in the Abyss, they, now they have to deal with the dangers of the Abyss. Like, everything is out to kill them. And the only thing stopping them from death is Reg. And Reg is, like, the powerhouse here. Like, he can punch pretty hard, and he has all this utility with his extendable arms. And his main ability from earlier on is this beam, which they call the Incinerator. And this beam is extremely powerful. It's kind of like just an erase everything sort of beam. But whenever he uses it, after 15 minutes, he'll be knocked out. 2 hours. Nothing wakes him up. And therein lies the danger, in that he has this one-shot insta-kill move against anything that can pose a threat, essentially. Because most things in the Abyss are, like, just so deadly and out of this world that it's pointless to try and fight them with conventional means, with, like, swords and stuff and guns, I suppose. And so this one-shot sort of is their lifeline. But after that, then the main character, Rico, is left alone with another person she just has to then take care of. So then there's this sort of, like, panic mode where, like, oh crap, we've dealt with the main issue, but now the issue of can she survive for 2 hours without, her protection in this fucking, like, dangerous place. It's just danger lurks around every corner. Everything can kill you in this place. Well, not everything. And they have to, like, live off the land and, like, because they've only taken enough supplies to, like, last a while. And they make it a point in dialogue that they say, we've been traveling this cave system for days now. So it's not a short trip by any means. Like, they are traversing kilometers of, like, caves and drops and all that. Because there's, like, layers and stuff. It's not just a straight drop. It's, like, landscapes and things. The cave expands outwards to, like, bigger areas and, like, domes. There's, like, nature and stuff that get affected by, like, the reflection of, like, the curse or something, so that sunlight can actually get down there. Field. Yeah, there's a force field or something, kind of like a lens.
Yeah,
and so,
it carries, like, light and nutrients down into the Abyss.
And each layer has, like, a very specific purpose. Like, near I think the second layer, or is it the third layer with the trees?
I think that's still the second.
The second one.
You mean the inverted trees, right?
The inverted, yeah. So there's a place where the trees grow upside down, and you notice that all the animals are sort of, like, evolved to live in that sort of, like, habitat. These large monkeys with long arms and stuff like that. And all the creatures are drawn like they're out to kill you. They really are. And some of them are just, like, have evolved to, like, accommodate for the fact that cave divers exist. Like, there's this one creature, I cannot remember what it's called, like a whisper or something, that
corpse sweeper.
Corpse Weeper. How messed up is that kind of name? It will, after it kills, the last thing it kills, the last words it says, it repeats, so that way it like draws in any of its accompanying friends, and then it'll attack them because it like mimics them. Like there's this one scene where there's this one dead cave raider that they hear just going, "Help me, help me, help me," and it turns out it was a corpse whisperer just luring them in. And like that is fucking incredible that they didn't just put monster in there. They put well-designed monster in that fits that area.
And it's messed up already. Like even up there, it's messed up. And like the whole thing is like framed in a really good way. How it feels fast, because the leader, who's basically like looking after them the whole time and like is their main teacher, he actually left them the notes and everything by Rico's mom, and also a little extra note saying, "At dawn, I'm gonna run down there and capture you, so you better be fast." So that's basically like his final test for them to, like, if they can't get away from him, they're not ready to take on the rest of the Abyss. And so they're like getting pursued up until that point. And then with the Corpse Weeper itself, so that's like the first escalation that happens. And there they already, something that they do well, which why that is so important, we're going to get to, is how much they remind you of the Curse of the Abyss and how severe an ascent can be. So with the Corpse Weeper, for instance, he grabs Rico to
we should
feed.
Probably describe what a Corpse Weeper looks like. It's like a large bird creature with like a weird sort of tongue-like face. It's white and like 3 eyes or something.
Yeah.
It looks like a raptor, like a pteroraptor or something.
Kinda, yeah.
Kinda.
And
but
like,
it just looks really out of this world.
Yeah, like all of the creatures really. Like the world and creature designs are amazing. And but like he grabs Rico then to like drag her to, or like carry her to his nest, or its nest, I guess. And there's a little bit of an ascent there because the nest is a little bit higher. And just from that, Rico already vomits on herself and loses consciousness just because she moves up a little bit, because moving up is what causes the curse to get triggered, basically. And like that already shows they're still in the first layer, and that's already the effect that a too fast an ascent has on Rico's body.
Yeah.
And that to me is like awesome, how they just keep doing that, and that doesn't change throughout the series. They keep reminding you just how painful just moving up even a slope can be.
Because it also establishes that even if you want to back out, you can't. Because the further you go, you just risk dying. Yeah. And so it's amazing how it adds like a pressure of like, you have to continue. There's no other option. You've made the choice. You cannot back out now.
Exactly. That's really
like,
cool about it.
It gives a sense of like every step you take down, that's it. You are never gonna go higher than that.
You better be prepared.
Yep.
Do or
every
die.
Step you take down is a step to your death.
Exactly. And it's just so genius.
It is.
And yeah, I guess like shortly after they managed to get to the second layer. I guess maybe the trees were in the second layer. Yeah.
Yeah, they were, and that's when he meets what's her face, another White Whistle.
Yeah, Ozan, the immovable, who we learn was part of the squad that also her mom was a part of, and that like we learn in a flashback sequence or like just in a story sequence that has some pictures in it. We learned the whole story of how that whole squad had like a fight with some foreign cave raiders. And that's actually a question I have. Like, where did those cave raiders come from? Like, how foreign were they? I thought all the cave raiders were from Orth.
I have no idea. Maybe they just got in somehow.
And actually, we skipped over something else that I noted. That I'm wondering about.
What's up?
They put at the beginning, and even like it's part of the opening.
Okay.
They put a certain weight on the star compass.
Yeah.
And then it's just dropped and gone from the whole series.
I guess
What is up with
maybe I don't know. Maybe it was just a really cool item, and they built it up as an item of importance, and then at the end, her point, remember, was that don't be prepared to lose anything in the abyss that you're not ready to lose forever, and it shows how like easily you can lose something that precious without actually losing something precious.
Yeah, that's what I think too. That might actually be a big part of it. Though I also wonder like what the point of the relic in the first place was, because
I think it was. It just pointed down. Maybe there was nothing else more to it.
But what do you gain from that?
I don't know. Maybe if like you're in a weird cave system and you don't know which way is up. I don't know. I'm sure there are like areas down there where gravity doesn't work.
But I do wonder if maybe that thing is gonna come back at some point.
Look, we can't really look that deep into it. Can we?
I don't know.
Maybe. You know,
but I just wanted to mention it. That there's certain things that sometimes are established as being important. Like there's also this necklace that Reg came with that is also gone at some point. It's just gone. And gets kind of brought back up in a flashback. But then like we don't know what it does, and we don't know where it is, like and like if it's gonna come back. Like there's a certain importance on things that then doesn't actually matter, which is kind of weird. But well, yeah, I just wanted to mention that on the side.
Where are we up to now?
We're now to Ozen. So the
Ozen. Oh dear, jeez. This one messed me up. This is where I noticed how well they can really make you feel the weight of what these characters are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They just the way they like shape the characters and how they I don't know, man. It was just so because I've only seen this anime once. Like the one time I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. I really have to like rewatch it again for me to like get all the little details, because it just kind of went as a blur because I was just enjoying it.
Same for me the first time. I've seen it the third time now just for the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I watched it though.
Yeah,
I gotta say,
it's amazing. It's so good.
I feel like we'll be here for too long if we go through every episode, and I kind of want to. If anyone's actually interested, I feel like I don't want to spoil too much.
I still would go through all of it though, to be honest.
You want to?
Yeah.
All right, we can do that. So, all right, so we're up to Ozen.
So I mean, we can speed through it a little bit. So, at the Seeker camp, which is led by Ozen, who was a part of this whole squad that was wiped out by other cave raiders, and then they had something that they tried to retrieve that they then left behind in order to carry up a vessel. A curse repelling vessel that they placed Rico, because that's the big twist. The first little twist that we already learned like at the surface is that Rico has been in that vessel. Like we learn about that even in the first 3 episodes, and that she has glasses to not have a headache all the time from the curse that she got. So like her sight is fine, but she gets a headache and she needs the crystal glasses in order to fix that. And they established that they had to abandon everything in order to just get Riko up there as a baby, as a newborn baby.
She was born in the abyss.
Yeah. Because, like, Liza, her mother, apparently either got pregnant down there or was already pregnant.
She got pregnant on the surface, but then because the expedition to go grab that really rare relic went for like 8 months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then she just had the baby at like the bottom.
Yeah. And then, I guess, so this is the first spoiler. So if people really like want to watch it and don't want to be spoiled at all, stop here, go to the timestamp in the recording, in the description, and just skip to the next thing. But, so the first big thing, so at the secret camp, we learn more about this whole thing. So the curse repelling vessel, in reality, as we learn through some creepy stuff that's happening, we learn that is actually something that resurrects dead matter.
Anything dead.
Yeah, like even like just a piece of meat somehow comes to life temporarily. Even if it doesn't have a head, even if it doesn't have innards, it starts moving. And that is really weird. And we learn that Riko was not placed in there like as a curse repelling thing just so she would survive. No, she was actually stillborn and started coming to life through that vessel. So she's not. She's
alive.
Basically a zombie.
She's basically a zombie. Yeah.
Yeah, and
then
just because
the
of
weight of that was crushing to find out.
Yeah, because it's so weird, and like she also Ozen also tells that everything that comes to life soon after just dies again. So it's kind of just a matter of time. Like, when is she gonna just drop dead? And then that whole thing just escalates and turns into a fight where Ozen just really is built up as this monster who just basically just tries to destroy them and really has fun doing so. And that then is revealed to just be a test, and she basically just was trying to test them for their resilience and basically give them the whole lesson about the incinerator, how that needs to be just the last resort, because after that, as you already talked about, Riko is defenseless and stuff. And then there's a little bit of a training arc and more stuff revealed that I guess we don't need to really go through every single little thing. But a few things are revealed, and new hope is actually added that due to how time works down there, Liza, her mother, might actually still be alive at the bottom. There's actually hope there, because until then, everybody, including Ozen herself, has been trying to hammer home the fact that there's no chance after 10 years or over 10 years, Liza would still be alive. But what we also learned there is that everything that has been placed in that vessel and has been resurrected is for some reason drawn to the bottom of the abyss. And Riko has also been drawn to the bottom of the abyss since she was even a toddler. In another flashback later on, but that's related to this, they say that she just learned to crawl and immediately she's trying to crawl into the abyss. And she was actually placed in that orphanage to keep her safe, because nobody could know that she's Liza's daughter, because Liza is such a legend and people would just kidnap her maybe for ransom or something. Or maybe if they even knew the whole truth, maybe they would experiment on her. And either way, it asks more questions, and it makes you question what is the abyss, and what is so important about it that there are items that just resurrect the dead and
draw them towards it.
Yeah.
Like, what does that all mean? And
like,
I'm so
what
curious.
are the relics? I mean, later on, there's a relic that's a ship in a wall. Just an old-fashioned like wooden ship, a wreck of a ship that's part of the wall. How did that get there? And that's down super deep, like that's in the 4th layer or something, like 3rd or 4th layer.
Like,
and
was there a fucking society or something living down there?
Yeah, and like if you look at the map too, I mean the show doesn't get there to that point. Spoiler alert. But like, if you look at the bottom, like that almost looks like eyes and stuff, and like a mouth. So is the abyss alive? Is the abyss a creature? Like so many questions about like what is Reg? What is the abyss? What is the deal with Rico? Like, and all the relics. And what are they? It's
like they go into more detail in the show. Like, we'll just try and gloss over some of this stuff, but like,
yeah.
They really do just bring this world alive in terms of like how it's all connected and like how it piques your interest in like your curiosity of like the unknown. Because you yourself get really like curious, like, oh, what is down there? Because like you start seeing cooler and weirder shit the more they go down, and then you think, what could they possibly top that with? But they never fail. Every time they go down further, I'm thinking, wow, that fits. That would probably fit. That looks like it would exist, but it's also fantasy. It's
really creative. It's just really polished.
Whoever designed the backgrounds, whoever designed this world is a genius.
Well, originally just the author, the manga artist. He did all of it originally. Because even before he did the manga there, because here's the thing, this is actually kind of funny. I was following that artist on Pixiv for a long time, and he barely posted, but he had like these pictures of just these awesome backgrounds with just some like characters somewhere, but the characters themselves felt very secondary.
Yeah.
Or like there was this one that kind of looked like Reg, but he had like a huge thing on his back, like kind of like a backpack, but there was a whole society of like little people living on there, and like whole cities and stuff. That really like intrigued me. And then at some point I saw, I think he posted one comic, like a one shot, and I was like, dude, this guy is awesome. You should make a manga. And then I think he posted the first chapter of Made in Abyss.
Right.
And then I never saw him again. And then years later, I learned about, there's going to be an anime based on Made in Abyss. And I'm like, this looks kind of familiar. Wait. And then I saw the whole thing, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
It's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, that just blew me away, that it was like that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like his backgrounds, like he always cared about backgrounds. Like that's like world building and backgrounds were always his forte. But I guess we should now talk about the finale stuff, like episode 10 onwards. So before we do that, again, spoiler warning. If this sounded at all interesting to you, at all, stop here. Come back later. Check the timestamp, whatever. But we need to talk about this. Dude.
But we should make it quick, though. I don't want it to be someone popping in and fucking hearing this shit. Although, no, wait, no, do your thing. No, this has to be talked about.
Actually, let me put a text thing for the spoiler warning. I'm gonna put. There we go. Just have this here. Professional visuals. I'm really good at visuals.
I'm good at eating these chips.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so Episode 10. So
Okay.
far we've had like drama with like a little bit of the curse here and there, and a little bit of throwing up, even a little bit of
Yeah.
hallucinations at some point, and like
Yeah.
all of this stuff where she was like without Reg because he was unconscious and stuff. But then,
Because, monster fights and whatnot.
exactly,
Because
and
it's
then
an
a
anime,
huge
there's a
one.
lot of action.
Yeah, and then there's a huge fight with an orbed piercer, who is
Now.
this huge fucking, like, has just like a huge red nose and just these huge spikes that are poisonous. And yeah,
It doesn't even look
Tell
like
me-
it has a... Doesn't really look like it has a face.
exactly.
But
Yes.
it's terrifying because it starts acting smart. Like it notices like a weapon that they've been carrying that can like save them without having him use his like one-shot move, and it like kicks it away under the water or something. To which we then learn. Oh wait, probably talk about that later. But either way, this like the creatures get like more intense later down the track, and it
He
scales.
can read movements. We learned that there.
Yeah.
That he can somehow just seems to know where Reg is gonna jump when he's trying to dodge.
And
And
it's
it's this really intense scene.
and then eventually because they're just kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place, and they're having a fight, and then Reiko, right, she pulls out the lead umbrella, so they have like this like shield like umbrella thing they use to block attacks, but the spikes go through, and she gets stabbed right through her palm, and it is pretty gory. This large white metal looking like spike just going through her hand, and we know that the poison is extremely deadly. And then it ends there. Like episode 10, I think, doesn't it? Is it episode 10 that ends
no.
on that?
No.
All I know is that now it's
It doesn't end
life-threatening.
there.
No, it doesn't. No, does it?
Episode 10 has the whole thing.
Does it?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. What happens next? Okay, she gets stabbed, and then I think. Oh yeah. Fuck. What happens? I can't remember.
Do you need help?
I
know.
need help because
I need an adult.
I think I was more worried at the time about the girl being stabbed.
No,
but I
so what happens is Reg tries to like get out of there, but he just
Oh, I'm
gets
so-
like every movement gets blocked.
I'm
So the
useless.
only thing that he can think of is going up. There's a place above where he could go to.
Oh yeah.
We're in the 4th layer. And the 4th layer, the curse of the abyss in the 4th layer means bleeding from every orifice. And he has to escape fast. So the ascent would not be a slow and steady one that maybe Riku could stomach. No, it's a fast one. A brutally fast one. So what happens then is she starts bleeding from out of every orifice, from her eyes, from her mouth, nose, everywhere, literally everywhere. And she also has her hand, which has now started to swell to like 3 times its original size. And that,
Oh my God.
like the whole scene then that happens, I'm somebody who can very easily stomach gore, violence, even disgusting stuff. But then, episode 10, the stuff that happens there, just the voice
So-
acting itself.
Basically, Reg has to like perform surgery, essentially, and so yeah, so he like cuts off the circulation on her arm, and then they have to go through the whole grueling task of like her trying to instruct him on how to essentially remove her arm. And So, oh, jeez. I'm just remembering it. So she starts off by saying you're gonna have to break the bone, otherwise they're gonna have too much of a hard time trying to cut through it. And that's the kind of detail they have to go into. Like, you break the bone so it goes into shards so you can just slice through the arm cleanly. And at this point, she's in incredible pain because it's just not pleasant being poisoned like that at all. And just the blood everywhere. And then with the ascent as well. Curse. Yeah, and with the curse as well. So she's like currently out of it in intense pain to the point where she loses all feeling and essentially goes unconscious. But before that, she's just blood and pain. And then she's crying blood. Her eyes are bloodshot red. Her ears are pouring out with blood. And her nose is bleeding, her mouth is bleeding, she's just coughing up blood, she's choking on it. And then in between all that, she has to instruct Reg to get a rock and like bash her arm in. And just to break it. And so there's just this grueling scene of him just with tears in his eyes trying to do this, trying to essentially, this person who he's like essentially like best friends with and like grown to protect and stuff, he has to now bash a rock into her arm and break it and then sever it. And he bashes it the first time, and then you just hear the screams of agony. They sound too real. It is haunting how real they sounded. And just he tries to do it, and then he gets the knife. It is a slow process. I think at that point she's passed out or something.
Yeah.
And then he just starts to hack into the arm. But before he can finish the job, she's starting to like fade, and you can hear the heartbeat like starting to slow down to like a stop. And then you presume that she's dead because like her entire face is like pale and everything. She stopped breathing.
Even.
Yeah. And then just like you just see the state of her, and there's just blood everywhere, and you think she's dead. She's got to be. And then Reg's just so distraught, and then fucking holding her, and just like how you would expect a real person to like see someone die right in front of them.
Yeah.
And knowing that their last moments of life were like just filled with pain and agony. And you can see it too. It's just so powerful.
Exactly.
Oh,
and like even before we even get to that point, the first bit, like where Reg just pulls out the spike.
Oh yeah.
Out of her hand. Even that, like comparatively harmless part. Her scream there already. Like when I heard that the first time, I was like, whoa, that sounded way too real. Like that already like kind of hurt a little bit. And like at this point, you're so invested in these characters, so they really feel so real at that point. And then you see all of that, and it just escalates so much. And like how then she's like trying to be brave and like you said, instruct him of what to do, but at the same time she's also hallucinating. She's then gets the breaking point where she's like just cries like, oh, I'm scared, like don't leave me please, and like all of that stuff that's just heart-wrenching. And then the sound design of everything, like the knife going through and the breaking of the bone, and how they didn't like show the whole thing, and that is so hard to watch.
And so for the entire time, you're just clenched in your seat, just thinking, no.
Yeah, and like in this particular show, you really don't know if she's gonna make it. In any other show, I would have been like, well, she's the protagonist, she's definitely gonna make it. But in this one, I was like, I have no idea. I wouldn't be that surprised if she fucking just dies here.
Oh.
And then and just the voice acting from both of them is amazing. Like Reg's cries and stuff. And they're
Yes.
beginners. They're beginner voice actors. This was their
Were
first
they?
big role. Yes.
Really?
And that's
They did pretty well.
amazing.
They did really well.
And then after that, we kind of get like someone who's kind of weird for the situation, but it kind of works, which is Nanachi. And something that was kind of weird to me was like we're in episode 10. At the end of episode 10, Nanachi comes in. The very, very end.
Oh, by the way, this like anime is like how long? 13 episodes?
Yeah, and
Right
the 13th is like a special, so it's basically the length of 14 episodes. So episode 10
that's right.
is,
It went for like 50 minutes.
Yeah. But the weird thing about that is Nanachi was part of the opening of any kind of promotional artwork and of the ending the whole time. So I'm going to call her a her because there's actually no revealed gender and you're not that sure about it. But in my headcanon, it's female. But like it's so weird for that character that looks so prominent in all of the other stuff to only be introduced at the end of the 10th episode out of basically 14. And well, yeah, then basically the intensity goes down a little bit for an episode where Nanachi then starts treating Riko.
This Nanachi is essentially just some weird like rabbit creature that's just appeared in front of them and saying that she can help him.
Like a plushie, kind of.
Yeah. And Reg's essentially just going along with it and just saying, yeah, just whatever you can to help her. And then
And Nanachi just kind of makes fun of him the whole time.
Yeah. And it's established that Nanachi is sort of like in a weird way like a mini rest stop for like certain cave divers who get to that level. Like at that level, she'd probably be the only friendly face in that area.
Not really,
sort
though.
of. Well, because like she doesn't really show her face to people.
Yeah, she's usually trying to not be found, which we learn the reason of later.
Oh, that's
I guess she's still. She has a heart, so she can't just ignore everything. So she apparently took some people in before.
Essentially, just after that really intense moment, they bring it all back with her and just calm you down a little bit.
Yeah, and she has a very like dry sense of humor, and it's like when Reg is just like in despair because Riko basically just died in front of him. He has to rehabilitate her by like mouth to mouth. And no, it's rehabilitate. Is that the word?
Respirate.
Yeah, that's the word.
I think so.
Just bring her back. Right? Yeah, bring her back. Like she stopped breathing, so he has to bring her back. And like Nanachi just like is like, oh, dude, you're so noisy, dude. Like the whole time, and it just doesn't take it very seriously, and that kind of shows characterization. It is comic relief. It's cuteness and stuff. And Nanachi is a very
it's tongue in cheek.
Yeah, but it's also actually shows a layer for that character because it shows she's childish, but she's had to mature and she's seen this before. She's used to this. That's why it doesn't faze her. And but she takes her in and agrees to treat her. I'm not going to linger too much on like how that is done, but that's basically how that goes. And for a little bit of time, or for most of the rest of the show, Riko is out of it and Nanachi is introduced. So the dynamic Reg and Riko is kind of for a short while replaced with the dynamic Reg and Nanachi. And Nanachi also explains a lot of things about how the Abyss works, how the curse works, why it works, like how the orbed piercer actually could see what Reg would do, or like what any creature would do next, because that creature can feel the curse of the Abyss, which kind of forms around movement and even consciousness. So if you just think about, I'm gonna jump to the right, the Abyss, the curse of the Abyss, or the force field, which is actually the same thing,
Yeah.
kind of notices that, and some creatures can see that, including Nanachi. Yeah, Nanachi can also see it. And she then explains how it's kind of like reverse spikes, where if you fall through from the top, you don't feel anything, but if you went back up, you would hit your head on the spikes, and the spikes would pierce your head. And that's why going back up is what causes the curse to trigger. And it's a more relaxing part for the most part, but then turns into the most dramatic thing in the...
That's what this show does well. It just... You wait for it. You sort of wait for the... Not really wait, but like out of nowhere, they'll just hit you with something really intense. And it just shifts the whole tone of like the episode.
Yeah.
From it being like a cheesy, so like they're getting along sort of thing, to then a heavy topic of murder, which
agony.
Yeah. Oh god, how do we go about this one? Oh.
Well, actually, before there's a small detail that I want to go over.
What's that?
So during this episode, actually before we hear about Liza's grave, yes, those spoilers. The heavy stuff is gonna come up, dude. But we learn about Liza's grave, and then we learn that the grave is empty. And in this finale part, Reg has a flashback of where he hears himself say, "I'm gonna be going, Liza." So he knows Liza, and he told her, "I'm gonna be going," which is probably when he decided to go up for whatever reason. So like that's really like how.
Well, basically, it's implied that Reg has met Liza before.
Yeah, and that they had kind of like that they knew each other.
They had some sort of connection.
Yeah,
and so it also confirmed that she possibly
and
wasn't
that he
dead.
was at the grave too.
Yeah,
at the end,
and that he was at the grave. And I think it just opened up more questions as to who he was.
Exactly, and that right at the end of the series, so it's just like, ooh.
Who is this boy?
Yeah, I really still wonder.
Me too.
I've read some of the manga.
No, dear boy.
So I don't even know more. Not really. But so yeah, I guess we get to the heavy stuff at the very end, which is what fucking destroyed me when I watched that. Dude, I was no joke, and I don't do this. I don't cry when like I don't usually cry at stuff like this. Yeah. But I cried for 10 minutes straight. I'm not kidding. It hit me so hard.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things. So what they establish here is the whole backstory of what Nanachi is, and another character that we meet who is called Miti and is just a little bit of a blob. Like, kind of looks really ugly, but you grow really fond of that character, even though it's just kind of a lifeless blob, where like, yeah, I don't know, just a weird blob. And we learn this whole backstory of how there was this dude who tried to understand the abyss and the curse of the abyss and how it works, and tried to find a remedy for the fifth layer, which is loss of humanity or death. And in order to study that, he would collect children from orphanages all over the world, pretty much. Like, some were even from overseas. And Nanachi and Miti were from 2 different orphanages. And
no, wait, weren't they? What didn't they come from? Like a village in the abyss?
That's kind of what that looks like. I think Nanachi was like maybe in the first layer.
No, wait. That is right. She has to be on a really low level, because I remember her talking about at the very beginning of it saying how she wanted to see the top. She said, "Oh, if we're at the bottom, then what's at the top?"
But that doesn't make any sense.
I remember that, dude. I think
It's kind of, yeah, I'm actually not sure. Like, I would have to, like, really pay attention again, but I don't know.
it's true. It's true because the guard said they already knew they were at a low level. Why would you risk taking children who can't climb up any higher to a even lower level? And that's what shocked her. That
No.
remember?
No. That's when they're already been taken back down. Like, after the kids from her orphanage are being collected, you do see them all at the top.
Are they at the top?
Yeah. She, like, looks into the abyss even.
Okay.
When they're collected, they're, like, all at the top. But it does look like she's somewhere in the abyss. But I would say we're probably just the first layer. Like, I can't see there being an orphanage, like, in a lower layer. That doesn't make any sense. But whatever. That's actually not even that important. But basically, so they experiment on all these kids by sending them down into the 5th layer and then having them ascend, like, quickly back up and trying to use different ways to, like, repel the curse, which never works, which is why there's a number of these blobs who are called hollows at the bottom there. And hollows are always what it's called when somebody loses their humanity, they lose their consciousness, their personality, and their body just transforms into something just ungodly. And whenever that happens to anybody, their squad actually kills them. But with these last two, which is Miti and Nanaji, they do something special, which ends up turning Miti into a immortal blob, an immortal hollow, and turns Nanachi into a hollow that hasn't completely lost her humanity. So that's how she turned into this fluffy bunny thing.
And
but
fan
she's
service.
Yes. Why is there no plushie?
I don't know, because it's a fucked up anime.
But wait, I wanted one when I watched it the first time. Dude, I wanted.
I'm sure you can special order one.
I mean, yeah, but that's expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that whole scene already, like, that already hurt to watch, in my opinion. The whole scene, like, where Miti is in that first glass chamber, and, like, the look on her face there, and when they then are sent down and then back up, and the whole transformation, like, how they just, like, show it in grave detail. Like, that already kind of hurt me a little bit. And then it's shown that they continue to experiment on Miti because she's immortal. So they, like, do these horrible things, like smash her body completely, like just squash it and everything, and it just grows back. Everything just grows back, and you can tell that there's still something in there and that she's suffering, and Nanachi just can't take it. She was, like, best friends with this other kid, and now this is happening. So she ends up running away, and that's how she then finds this place, and she tries everything to release Miti. So she really tries different methods of trying to kill her, to release her from her suffering, because she's also part of this, like, religion of the abyss where they believe in like souls returning to the abyss and everything. That's a whole mythological thing going on, and, like, she believes in that, and she just tries to get that for Miti. And they're then after we learn all of that, and nothing works, Miti never dies. We also learn how she learns about medicine and everything because she treats some other people, but she also releases some that are beyond treatment. So she knows what it's like to have to kill someone, that is why she's so dry about drama like this, like the most perilous situations. And There's then a moment of bonding between Nanachi and Reg, where Nanachi like shows Reg how to defeat the orb piercer and stuff, and there's a triumphant moment. And at the end of that episode, like when they're like really like everything is happy, yay, thank you, she drops a bombshell. After everything is established that like Nanachi loves Miti and does everything for her and like cares for her and everything, we then hear the bombshell of a request. When Nanachi asks Reg, "Please kill Miti for me." And like that, like, because I watched it when then there was a week in between. I had to wait a week.
You had to wait a week?
Yes. Like after episode 10 I had to wait a week. After episode 11 I had to wait a week.
Oh no.
Dude,
really?
Leaving on that and having to linger on that, I was like, holy fuck, that was, dude, that hurt. That hurt. Like dude, that sentence.
Dude, I when I was watching it, I was actually thinking, geez, I imagine waiting a week, for this shit. No way. I
had to. And I talked to people like on the forums and stuff, and then like some people who read the manga were like, yeah, this is nothing. Just you wait.
You wait.
And I was like, it can't possibly be worse, and it was worse.
It got worse. Oh, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Look, basically, there was just... Reg obviously hesitates, and then it's shown that she's exhausted every option, and that she knows this is the only way to do it, but she doesn't force Reg to do it, which is important because she makes it that it's his choice whether or not he wants to do this. And after a bit of pondering...
Which shows maturity.
It does. And at the end, Reg realizes that this is probably for the best because Nanachi isn't necessarily immortal, but Miti is. So after Nanachi dies, after old age or whatever it be, Miti would just have to live out eternity as this blob thing. So it's better of a soul release than it is, because she's trapped in that body, and the only thing that can really get rid of 100% of her is his incinerator. Just because it's like just this godlike destroy everything beam.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole little scene where she sets up Miti in this like the nice field of all her favorite toys.
There's
and
actually
stuff.
something before that already. Like
what was that?
In that whole where they talk about it, where she explains the thing like, I'm gonna be gone one day, and Miti is not. That where she explains that. Then Reg immediately says,
"Oh yeah,"
because she understood that the whole reason for her existence is caring for Miti, and he says, "You gotta promise me that you don't take your own life after I've done what you asked me to do." And she's just like, "Don't worry, I'm still gonna treat Rico." And she's like, "But after that." And the way, again, the voice acting is what did it for me. The way she says how cruel, the way that the voice actress does that really felt so real, so powerful. And then she
it shows how she's just kind of like done with life.
Yeah, because she was considering that. Like she was like, yeah, that's all I want. Like, she wanted to kill herself after that. But she was then, and you like hear that after a little bit too, in some of her inner dialogue, or inner monologue, I guess. But like the way that was delivered, that line, my how cruel, like,
oh yeah.
And then the hesitation where she then like takes because she's fishing and then like looks at the bait and like throws it back in, and only after that says yes, promise. Like, that was so powerful. That felt so real. And yeah, but now you can go to the next thing.
Oh, what was it? Oh,
Yeah,
they set up everything, and then fucking just. I think you should do this. I think you're more suited to describe this.
Okay, so yeah, they then, like, Reg has come to terms with, yeah, it's the best thing to do, the reasonable thing to do, to just free Meaty. And so yeah, Nanachi over the years has made this nice home for Meaty, and has made, like, stuffed animals for her and everything to just keep her company. And so she sets up in a field everything that's Meaty's, with all of these stuffed animals and everything. It's fucking heart-wrenching, like, how beautiful she sets that up. And she, like, says her goodbyes and, like, in a normal way. And then, like, Reg and like, it's also that, like, the facial expressions and stuff, the character acting that the animators did on top of the voice acting is amazing. And this is also the first thing, like, the first big project the studio has made. This is the first anime show by the studio, and they did a fantastic job. At least I think so.
Oh, they did.
And I think it's their first. Really, I mean, I think it's their first. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But it's, like, the first major, at least. But then, like, how that is done, and how he hesitates, but he charges up his beam and is, like, about to shoot. And then... Wait, my PC is doing stuff. Wait.
What?
Free up storage space. Shut up. Yeah, there was noises. Okay. So... like, he's about to shoot, and then Nanachi just breaks. And, like, says, stop, don't do it. And, like, just... it yells and like, cries at Meaty, and, like, I'm sorry about everything and stuff. Like, she breaks, and, like, it's kind of a cliche thing to do it that way, but they nail it still. Like, it sounds so powerful and so real, and, like, and then she just, like, goes away and says, right, do it. And then, like, when he actually does it, and she turns around, and again, like, the way her face is drawn, like, the facial expression.
It's really powerful.
And everything. Dude, I was fucking crying, dude. I was so, like, the whole, I think I started crying at the My How Cruel, because how that sounded. And I was crying the whole way through, and I was like, dude,
jeez.
Be done with it, dude, please.
Be done with it.
Like, dude, I was so done. Like, I was so invested in these characters. Maybe because I had to wait a week and stuff. Maybe that made it more powerful. But I was so invested in this that I cried so much, dude.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, I've had the very same sort of experience with One Piece, but that's only because, like, I've stuck with it for so long.
Yeah.
In certain moments, they really get you. I know what you mean. Yeah.
And this one just worked on me, like, worked wonders on me. And, well, yeah, then he fires his incinerator and just obliterates Meaty completely. And at the same time, the whole time Meaty was, like, kind of cuddling up with the unconscious Rico. And we then learned that they kind of had a weird spiritual bonding experience where in Rico's dreams, she could hear another girl crying, and then she would smell something burnt, which would be at the moment the incinerator happened. And
all of this basically implies is that she sensed the presence of someone else, and then kind of experienced what Meaty probably last experienced, smell of burning.
Yeah, and then how
it also
just left.
It also implies that the so-called religion in that world, that everything sort of is connected by the abyss, it's perhaps hinted at being real.
Yeah.
And the fact that kind of Rico sort of had sort of borderline experience nearly losing the humanity bit, because there was like one stage before, wasn't it? Or yeah, the
No,
humanity.
they just imply that it's because she was dead before, and the
Oh,
abyss
that's
brought
right.
her back. That because of that, she would have a connection to the abyss.
Mhm. That's right.
So
Oh
yeah,
man. Oh.
and that's like the big thing. And after that, it's basically just Rico returns to consciousness. There's still a few things like where they have to do some treatment stuff. We don't really have to go over that, but it's basically then like a whole bonding thing. Her arm is never going to be the same. She can barely move it at this point. But then there's like some heartwarming stuff, some comic relief that some people have problems with, but I don't, and I guess we don't have to talk about it. And that's basically how they then on a whole like montage that shows their life from that point on, and how they're now a trio, because Nanaji actually joins them on their journey to the bottom of the abyss. And everything is kind
So
of
it
like,
sets it up for what's coming next.
yeah, and it does, because like it starts like directly after where it ends, shit starts to happen in the manga.
Oh,
It's like
you should
literally.
You should put on the music, eh?
I have.
Oh, did you put on the OCD?
I have.
Oh, nice.
The OST, you mean?
OST. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I have the whole time.
Oh, dude, I got it on pause, so I don't actually hear the back thing.
I mean,
Nice.
obviously. But yeah, I've
I only
had it
check
the
every
whole
now.
time.
Oh, nice work.
But yeah, that's basically it.
It was my thought. It really was something really special to me, because it was just this nice, intense experience for a little
guess I
while
can
that
get
just
rid of the
piqued my.
spoiler warning.
It really piqued my curiosity too.
Yeah.
The world was interesting and everything, and just I cannot wait to see where they go with the next one.
I wonder when the second season is even going to happen, because when they made it, they said there's probably not going to be a second season. They didn't think there was going to be one, and
Why would you set it up like that then?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering. Like, I thought like when they set that up that they were sure, but maybe they just wanted people to check out the manga. But they were very surprised, and since then there has been a very short teaser that basically just said, "Hi, we're making a second season at some point," and we don't know when, but that's gonna happen soon. But it might be like two more years until that comes out.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
Because like there's apparently like 2 more other shows that's gonna be released before. By the same studio.
We'll see how it goes, eh?
But I can recommend the manga, because like, since you like shonen stuff, you're probably gonna be into some of the stuff that happens in the manga that I really want to see animated too, because there's gonna be some like action scenes that are very, very anime.
Oh yeah.
But I guess that's gonna be all I'm gonna reveal.
I'm always a sucker for some good fighting in an anime.
Yeah, some of the stuff kind of reminded me of some of the strongest points of Naruto.
Oh yeah. Naruto was a lot of hit and miss with me. It was always,
I liked it for the most part.
It was good, but then it just had a lot of filler.
I skipped that. I skipped the filler.
Yeah. I didn't, because I was like, might as well watch it all.
But yeah, I guess that's it for that topic. Took us long enough.
I think we need to learn how to streamline that or something.
Yeah, we're gonna hone in on that.
What time is it?
I mean, we don't have to do.
It is 4:30 in the morning for me.
Yeah, we could just skip the second topic, do that on another day.
Holy crap!
Because
we did. Why is it so late? I don't know.
Dude, we've been talking for.
I've smoked 15 cigarettes.
3.5 hours.
I've smoked 15 cigarettes in this entire time we've been sitting here.
Yeah, let's skip the second topic. Let's do that another time then. When we're more used to, because I mean, come on.
This is the first one. We'll figure this out.
Yeah, it's gonna take a few episodes, but I think we're gonna like get in the groove just kind of naturally.
Hopefully, we'll get this.
Yeah, so I guess we're just gonna move on to the trust us part, which is short.
That's right. Okay, so trust us is basically I'm just gonna recommend something to you every time we do this, and well, we're not gonna tell you too much about it, but just give it a shot if you
trust us.
Trust us. Get it? All right, what do you got?
Wait, there we go. So my trust us recommendation is a YouTube channel, by Dan Brown. The channel might actually be called Dan Brown.
Dan Brown.
But the whole show is called Game Maker's Toolkit. And it's a really, really good channel that talks about games from the perspective of game design. So when he started doing it, he kind of wanted to analyze things to become a game designer at some point, start working on things. And he has a sub-series called Boss Keys, which talks about all of the dungeons in all of the Zelda games in detail. And he does a great job. And really, like, if you're at all interested in analysis of video games or game design, you have to check him out.
Yeah? All right.
Yes.
I'll definitely will. That sounds interesting because I've always wondered how they see games. We always see it from,
it's going to be an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. All right. Well, my recommendation is play this game I've been playing with my mates for a little bit, and it's called Deep Rock Galactic. Basically,
I've heard
about that. It's a fun little game. I think I picked it up for $30 on Steam. But you and 3 other mates just go on these little missions that you can go on together, and you just dig for materials. And it's sort of it's got an element of survival. So you get dropped in this mine, and you have to just collect a certain amount of ore, and you just all go off and do your own thing, and you have different classes that have different abilities and different equipment, and you just have to use those abilities to just get around. You have zip cables, you have flares because the area is pretty dark, and it's a stylized game that looks very indie. But the hitch here is that there are these bugs, giant and metallic and like armored creature bugs, different abilities that like swarm you every now and then. So every now and then there'll just be this big swarm incoming that you have to just sort of like try and fight off every time in this mine, and then at the same time you still have to collect like minerals and then escape. You press the escape thing and you have to like escape the tunnel and get back to your ship before it takes off, and it's just a nice little fun co-op game.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Just check it out on Steam if you ever get a chance.
Yeah.
And
the means. Monetary.
And for the review, I've decided to do Hollow Knight.
That is a good choice. I very much agree with that choice.
So yeah, next time we're gonna review Hollow Knight, this one, because I just bought it because on for like $10 and I'm really loving it. So I'm gonna give that a fair go and try and finish that this week.
Yeah, and that's probably not gonna take us that long to talk about.
No, then that'll be good because I've never played it. You never played it. This will be interesting.
Okay, so I guess that's the first episode. Not quite exactly how we planned it, but it's long enough.
I guess so. Jeez, it went. All right, we started at 1. It's been for 3.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah, 3:40 now.
Wow. Jeez.
That's quite a
we
bit.
We might have to do this. We'll have to figure out a better time. Maybe earlier. Like maybe want to get straight home or something. Or,
Yeah, just let me know. Like we don't have a schedule yet. We just gotta talk about it. But what do you think, like in terms of like how often we should do this?
I don't know. I guess
I'm okay with weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly.
I'd say bi-weekly. I think
Yeah,
bi-weekly
sounds about right to me too.
It
Yeah,
gives us time to do our own shit and still like do this on top of that.
exactly, and be prepared and stuff.
And besides, I still have like long work weeks sometimes.
Yeah, I'm okay
Yeah,
with bi-weekly.
All right, we can figure this out. We got this.
Yeah, we just don't know when yet, but yeah, I guess in about 2 weeks. Expect another one, maybe this time with two main topics.
And maybe a bit more streamlined. And
Yeah,
I think it was like, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy reviewing.
me too.
That the anime, but I guess it's pretty hard to review an entire series in like a small span. Like talking about a game is pretty easy because you can condense it and like you take out the filler because most of it's the game. But with that, it was just there's a lot to go over and a lot of detail to get. We had to like get across. Ah.
Yeah, but I think like this is probably one that was not that easy to review.
Oh, definitely.
Because it was very much about the subtleties. If we just had like surface level stuff, I mean, it kind of works for what it's about. We had to go deep to really get to it.
That's true, and that's good.
So that didn't, and I mean, I didn't mind it that much that it took that long. I mean,
yeah, me neither. I've just been chilling out. It's been pretty good.
And it's the first episode. Come on, like we can't expect to like really have it down to a science yet. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Like we're probably gonna be able to hone into like 3 to 4 hours for
probably
everything.
I hope we didn't bore you too much, Grim.
Yeah, I mean he did leave for a bit for the spoilers. I hope he fucking watches it then.
Oof.
I hope that's the reason he left. No. Okay, so
nudge.
I guess we should wrap it up here because my throat is actually starting to get sore now.
Yeah, me too.
I actually thought I was going to stream God of War because it's been sitting there. I have God of War. I want to stream it, but I'm probably not going to do that anymore today.
I've got tomorrow. What time are you going to be on?
I don't know. Whenever I'm awake.
Wait, what time is it now?
8:40, and I'm probably going to bed soon because the past few days I basically went to bed at 5, which is when we started recording this.
Well, you know what? It's I'm just gonna assume my sleep patterns are pretty similar, and let's just say in like 7 hours. I'll catch you later.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay.
All right, bro. I'll catch you later, mate.
Yep. See you around.
Yeah, peace.
I hope y'all enjoyed.
Not too early. What was that?
What? I basically just said to the audience, I hope y'all enjoyed.
Memes.
The memes are awesome. Okay. So that was the podcast. Kind of rough, kind of long, but I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this very much. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you missed any of this, there's going to be a recording like in 2 days probably on YouTube. It's going to be linked down here. Just subscribe to that channel. It's already linked, like the recordings of other playthroughs are already linked. And I'm going to be back tomorrow with a new stream. Also check out Thundernut's stream as well. Let me put that on screen again, like on the top right. You see his Twitch stream. Definitely check him out. He's a cool dude. And yeah, I'm going to be back tomorrow with God of War, mostly. Maybe a little bit of Overwatch as well. But yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired now. I need to sleep. So I will see you guys maybe tomorrow, maybe in the next episode of Bamboo Hut. So take care.